on.
Yo.
That's me again. My first day.
Hey guys, it's Saturday, and you know what that means. This podcast is brought to you by Boss to Boss Productions, Intrinsic Marketing, Hodgepodge, and Knucks 3-in-1 Refresher Spray. We're gonna do some like sort of band music one of these days. We're gonna think of a sort of just a little.
This is where you need Bruce
song.
Buffer to come in and be like,
and
now,
boom.
So UFC, if Bruce Buffer ever wanted to retire, I got your back.
You have the vocals. For
I
it,
have
man.
the voice to move trees.
Hey,
God gave me the voice to flipping move trees.
and the personality too.
Hell right. Hell right.
Hey guys, I need to tell you a little bit about Intrinsic Marketing, all the service that you need under one roof. You started a business because you believe in what you do, so let Intrinsic Marketing bring your product or service to the market. That's what they do best, guys. Intrinsic has the services, tools, and expertise to make it happen all in one place. We got web design, social media, copywriting, targeted ads, and much more. Design, development, and hosting for everything you need to get online. Comprehensive social media management services scaled to fit your needs. Blog posts, articles, sales material, press releases, and guys, so much more. I'm going to need you to do me a favor. Don't take my word for it. See for yourself here. Visit intrinsic.com. That's INTRINSIC. INTRINSIC Chicago.com. That one threw me for a loop, guys. Hey, it's Saturday, guys.
I almost lost my headphones.
Oh my God. I
know, dude. I'm wearing this
out.
dumbass stocking cap because this female still has my Knicks hat and it's really pissing me off.
I'm going to have to make a call for you on that one.
What I think I'm going to have to do at this point is I'm just going to have to get the new Knicks draft hat.
Yeah.
And might just have to count the L.
They always, honestly, they always do find a way to make like a new hat or a new sort of like beanie or something like that. That's kind of dope. And you're like, okay, I might like the Bulls hat that I saw Kobe White wearing. It wasn't even like a Bulls logo. It was kind of like a circle logo.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I mess with that. I could do that.
Yeah.
Yo, Nick, what's good, bro?
What's up?
Hey, guys, thank you again for watching another edition here, Mack and Black. Again, I'm the Mack part. He's the Black part. The phone number that you guys are seeing on the screen right now is actually, or you will see on the screen rather, we are taking calls, guys. That's kind of one of the new things we want to do. We want to make sure to be a little bit more interactive with our audience here. So again, the phone number for our call-in is 312-869-4117. We are talking everything NBA draft, NHL draft. We're going to talk baseball. We're going to talk MMA. Even
hottest
though the card
team
is,
in baseball lies in New York.
Yeah, and then we're going to
have
We're going to have to also talk a little MMA too because, there is a UFC card going on right now, but I don't really care about it. So, my man.
And probably 55% of America.
Yeah, I know. It was an eventful latter half of the week.
It was.
Thursday was the NBA draft.
Yep.
I think both of our teams made it out pretty damn nice.
So a lot of people hating on the Bulls pick of taking Kobe White. But
yeah, and I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either. But I think two teams. Well, maybe one, because I'm confused. I'm confused on the Phoenix Suns. Isn't all this talk about them? They needed a point guard.
God,
and they went and drafted a forward and traded
him.
They moved
back.
God, just
and
stupid.
For Dario Saric.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they were sick. They got Dario Saric and the 11th pick.
I was hoping to get to
job,
this.
Phoenix.
Yeah, no, I was hoping to get to this later, but there was this video going around, and I don't know if you saw it, Nick. It was of Kobe White reacting. He was in a press conference for his own drafting, taking questions from the media, and then the media said, "How do you feel about Cam?" I think his name is Cameron Johnson, right? The guy that Phoenix took. He's from North Carolina, just like Kobe White is, one of his teammates. How do you feel? And Kobe White flips. What? At 11? What? Now listen, if your homie who you play basketball with, one of your teammates, and has that reaction to you going 11, something went wrong.
Yeah.
Meaning that guy, because everybody knows Cameron Johnson was projected at highest 30 latter half of the first round. They took him literally within the first 15 picks.
Right.
The Suns, absolutely. I mean, you got to be really kicking yourself if you're a Suns fan, because they keep getting gifted with these sort of, almost, Booker and Ayton, really, you have the cornerstone of your franchise there.
True.
And both of our franchises would kill to have those two guys on our squad, and any sort of half aware GM would know, man, we got to work around these guys.
Right.
And the Suns just find a way to keep messing it up. So, Zion Williamson first, Ja Morant goes second to the Grizzlies, and then, of course, it seems like those first three were a lock, especially with the Knicks, but there were a lot of, weird reports the week before. Even after our show last week, I kept reading stuff about how the Knicks were maybe looking at Jared Culver and and I don't know if it's fake news, man, but I think everyone knew by Wednesday, the day before, okay, that's it. The Knicks are going to take RJ Barrett, and they did. What a pick, and it turned out well for the Knicks, man.
And not only did the Knicks draft RJ Barrett, but the place went nuts.
They did, yeah.
And first off, we want to talk about winners of the draft. I'll give you a winner. It was the New York Knicks. And it's not so much that they drafted RJ Barrett. It was everything that led up to them drafting RJ Barrett, because there was all this talk about them trading the third pick to the Pelicans for AD.
Yeah.
And then supposedly there was all these rumors about maybe the Pelicans will move up to 2 over Memphis to grab RJ Barrett. And then there was talks about that the Knicks apparently got this this deal for Chris Paul.
Right,
and I'm going to assume that the third overall pick was in there, and they told him no.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The old regime, the Isaiah Thomas regime, RJ Barrett's not even close, because when either AD or what's his name, Chris Paul, especially Chris Paul, because we know how much Isaiah Thomas loves trading for old-ass point guards.
Yeah.
He would have made that deal. So the Knicks, to stay the course, and they really stayed the course when Memphis decided to trade Mike Conley to Utah, which pretty much opened, and everyone assumed and knew that they were going after Ja Morant.
Right.
So it really wasn't too much of a mystery of what was going to happen. So now the Pelicans are sitting there at 4, and now they're like, well, damn, we can't get 2. We're definitely not going to get 3, so we have to get 4. So I got to give Scott Perry and Steve Mills all the credit in the world, because they stayed the course. You have a young kid who idolized the Knicks growing up, had said time after time after time that he wanted to play in New York, and was so loyal to play in New York that after he got his workout with New York, he canceled everybody else. He said, I don't want to play for anybody else. You cannot find a talented guy that will want to have the loyalty to New York, especially knowing what the Knicks have gone through as a franchise over the last X amount of years. So kudos to the Knicks, kudos to RJ Barrett, and now the Knicks, in my opinion, are doing the right thing by staying the course at this point.
Yeah, and good job not overthinking it.
Exactly,
that's sort of, I think, what you're getting at with that is it gets easy after, Zion was obviously the guy, right? And then Ja sort of had this surge over the last 3 or 4 months that really put him as a clear second best player. And it would have been easy for them to go, well, maybe we should look at Culver, because and they didn't do that. I think it was the easy pick. I think we both thought that was pretty easy pick. The kid, what I'm most impressed with, what I've learned from him, is how cool of a kid he is. And a Canadian kid, his dad is a former Canadian professional basketball player. Steve Nash is his goddad, his godfather.
Right.
So this kid is anointed, and he comes from good basketball stock.
Right.
So really good pick by the Knicks. And listen, a sneaky good PR move too, because this is a guy, like you said, who talked up New York so much and did such a good job after the draft of sort of settling that in. And they kept baiting him into these questions, Nick, that were really pissing me off. They were doing this baiting thing where they were like, well, yeah, what's it going to be like having to carry the team? You know,
I saw
like
that.
little subtle dumb shit like that. And it's like, you know what? Let the kid live, man. He did such a great job of answering. He was like, I'm not going to carry anything. We're going to, we're going to come in here as a team.
As a team, right. Yeah, I did peep that as well, and I'm glad he kind of put dude in check.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, is these lame-ass beat writers that somehow get a paycheck, to come in there and trying to cause some kind of controversy to try to stir the kid up.
Yeah.
What I didn't know, there's two things I didn't
Can
know.
I go viral? Yeah.
A, I didn't know that R.J. Barrett was Canadian, and B, I didn't know the man knew French.
Yeah, he's bilingual too.
Yeah,
really good.
So, again, it's a talented kid. And see, here's where, again, I have to preach to Knicks fans, because when you have sucked as a franchise, the last time the Knicks legit were in the playoffs and we were actually talking about championship and Knicks were in 2012 when they won 50-some games on the second year under Carmelo. They haven't been able to do a lot of stuff since. And when you're a franchise that's now going on 7 years of absolutely being terrible,
Yeah.
there comes a time where you don't see the big picture because the Knicks are linked to AD and the Knicks are linked to KD and now the Knicks are linked to Kawhi, even though I don't think he's coming. And there's all this stuff that's going on with the Knicks that they're getting a lot of the shaft. First, they were all bitching and moaning about we didn't get the number one pick. Yeah. Then they bitched and moaned because KD's hurt. Now you're bitching and moaning because we didn't trade to get AD. So my thing is this. I'm looking at it from the outside in. I'm looking at it from where I think Perry and Mills are seeing it. The Knicks right now, and I've said this in a previous show, just look at what Brooklyn is doing. Because Brooklyn made the most god-awful trade when they traded future first-round picks for old-ass Garnett and old-ass Paul Pierce.
And set them back a decade.
So what do? They built through the draft. They landed D'Angelo Russell. Yeah. And now
smart
these guys...
Smart cap management.
Exactly.
Doing a good job of knowing I can get rid of this contract and free up this money. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So now you look at what the Knicks are doing. They're almost doing the same thing. I don't want to trade Mitchell Robinson, who led the league in blocks last year.
Yeah.
I don't want to trade Kevin Knox, who's been putting in work in the gym and getting stronger and working on his shot. I don't want to trade the third pick, which is R.J. Barrett, a guy that wants to be here. So where are these reports coming at now? Now word on the street is that apparently the Knicks somehow got in Anthony Davis's ear and said, just watch what we're doing this year before you sign an extension with L.A.
Yeah.
Don't sign that quite yet. Look at what we're doing. We really want you here, I think, a little bit more than L.A. So look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Anthony Davis is able to sign that extension quite yet.
Right.
But at the same time, there's now reports coming out that the Lakers messed up on when they traded AD, and now their cap might be messed up.
They literally didn't know how much cap they had and how much they would have. That's embarrassing. But Nick,
hey, what's going on, Mo?
These are both points that you're making that are relevant to both of our franchises because the Bulls and fans that really weren't around for long enough for the 90s run and had to sort of endure what happened in the early 2000s.
The baby
Bulls
yep.
and then the transition into the Rose era that was, so many shortcomings, and then free agents almost coming here and never coming here. And then there was so much of that heartbreak that every single year it was like, we've got to manufacture ways to bring in big, and it's like there's an overthinking mentality to it that we were talking about. So, and if you're a Knicks fan, and you saw what the Lakers had to give up to get AD, you should feel a little bit better right now.
And not only saw what they gave up, but look at what New Orleans did in the draft.
Right.
So, and we talked about this a little bit off air, and we'll get into it, what New Orleans did.
Yeah.
Now you're almost one solid, unless I guess is Josh Hart going to run the two. So now
they have him as a starter now, and it's like, this guy's a good reserve, but let's not go that far.
But,
yeah.
But, it's probably what they have to work with. So right now, what you're saying is I'm going to have my starting five is probably going to be Lonzo, and then Josh Hart, and then Brandon Ingram, and then Zion, and then the kid they got from Texas. I'm blanking on his name right now. Jackson Hayes.
Yeah.
So is it the sexiest starting lineup? No. But is it a lineup to where this team can build and grow as one?
Yeah.
That now you don't have the headache of AD. You definitely don't have the headache that's LeBron. And now you have a bunch of kids that are rising up to their talent. It definitely is, because I'll say this. A lot of people want to laugh at LeVar Ball, and he came out and said that the Lakers will never win a championship. I don't know. I don't know how much I'll agree with that. I'm not saying I'm dismissing it.
It's dumb because he said they will never ever. Right?
Like,
not even 100 years, LeVar.
You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, at the end of the day, I know he's upset that they traded his son and whatnot, and he should be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, I might kind of be with LeVar Ball, because you didn't even give this team time to gel, because you were so quick to get the high-powered LeBron James and didn't sit back, and a lot of this is Magic Johnson's fault, because Magic Johnson came out and said that if I didn't land a big star here in Los Angeles, then I would resign.
A failure.
So now you're sitting here saying that, oh, well, I went and got LeBron James, but how does he make sense for my team?
Right.
And right now, when you're at a point right now in where LeBron James was damn near traded by Jeannie Buss.
Yeah.
I mean,
and LeBron's window closing is the reason why they had to make that trade in the first place, because they acquired LeBron, and then whether or not hindsight is 2020, I guess, but they saw, oh my God, we might only really have 3 years left now. Like, we were thinking this would be something where, man, we're going to be set for the next 5-6 years. And now it's like, hey, if this doesn't work out next year, we might be in big trouble.
Right.
So that sort of, lit the fire under the Lakers. They obviously drafted, or they obviously traded that number 4 pick as a part of that trade. New Orleans had the number 4 pick. They traded that to Atlanta to get another pick in the top 10 and a slew of picks and cap relief. What a great job New Orleans has done to just say, we didn't let him walk for nothing, and we got a bunch of young pieces, and we've got the most athletic front court that anybody has ever seen with Jackson Hayes and Zion, because Jackson, he's kind of like a Tyson Chandler type.
Yeah.
Very big, long, went through this athletic streak in high school, and then he grew a foot out of nowhere. And this guy he's still raw. Like 2 years ago, he wasn't even playing in high school.
Right.
So this guy's now the number 10 pick in the draft, or the number 8 rather, and surprised some people. But so yeah, the Knicks went with RJ Barrett. The Hawks, after trading into 4, they draft DeAndre Hunter, a really nice wing out of Virginia. The Cavaliers surprised me a little bit. I know that they just signed Bielema, or no, not Bielema. I'm sorry. What's the Michigan coach?
John Beilein.
John Beilein, sorry. And they say that he really wants to run like a 2-point guard look. They went with Garland, and I was surprised with that. I thought they might have went Culver there, needing maybe some help. But they did a tremendous job in the draft. The Cavaliers did. They went out and got their players, athletic guys. They got another 2 later. So Garland went number 5. The Suns ended up trading the pick to the Timberwolves for Dario Saric and I believe the number 11 pick. Yeah, so okay, let me just say this, right? To me, Nick, that looks like Cam Johnson was at the top of their board. And that's scary, because he probably was at the top of their board for 6.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In order for them to feel comfortable trading back, they're probably like, well, he's a top guy on the board, but we can't choose him at 6. So what do they go and do? They get Dario Saric, and then they get another pick at 11, and then they choose, again, we talked about it, Cameron Johnson. Great shooter. From what I read, the best shooter in the draft, hands down.
Right.
He's 24 years old. He's the oldest player in the draft. He's older than Devin Booker.
Right.
Okay? He has knee problems. These are things where, like, as an organization, you can't you can't just like be like, yeah, we're gonna select this guy number 11. That just can't happen. So, and the Bulls get Kobe White, man. I was really happy with that. When he fell, I was worried it wouldn't happen because
Phoenix needed a point guard.
Phoenix needed a point guard, and it just looked obvious. Like, why would they trade back? You know. So again, the Bulls, I'm really happy. We talked about Kobe White 3 shows ago, Nick. I told you this guy, I would love to have him in Chicago, and here he is. He reminds me a lot of Gilbert Arenas. Very good scorer, fast, wants to play fast, wants to get others involved. He's still got work to do on a lot of sides of his game. And people need to realize that when it comes to these draft prospects. Nick, a lot of these old heads, they expect first-round picks to be they expect to be like finished products. Like, we need a guy who's just ready, polished, ready to come in here and kick ass. It's like, that's not how the game goes anymore, bro.
That's true because, Charles Barkley said that, the difference between the NBA and other organizations like baseball, like hockey, and to an extent football is that, and I'll use baseball and I'll use football, baseball and hockey as an example, but what they were saying is that in baseball, you can send a guy to the minors, let him sit down there 2-3 years to develop. Yeah. In hockey, you can send a man to the Russian league or the AHL
Canadian league,
the Canadian league, so they can sit and develop. Yeah. In basketball, it's a man-ready league. Right. Either you're ready to play or you're not. Like, not everybody can be Jermaine O'Neal, who rolled the bench for 4 years in Portland before he went to Indiana, became a star.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these guys that became stars that rolled the bench for a little while, and Jermaine O'Neal kind of is that guy that I'm thinking of right now. Or if you really want to be specific about it, how about a guy like Tim Duncan, who technically spent 4 years in Wake Forest, polished his game in college, so that when he went to San Antonio and they lucked in and got the number 1 pick, he was ready to go and became a champion as soon as he came out.
And he made adjustments to play next to D-Rob, too.
Exactly.
So that was huge. Yeah.
Exactly. So
we're going to see the value of staying 4 years go up now because the super draft, or I think they call it the double draft, rather, is in 2 years when they're thinking that 18-year-olds are going to be able to jump right in instead of doing one-and-dones.
Right.
So you're going to see a lot of these guys stay in school in a couple of years.
Yep. So my thing is that, like, with the Bulls pick, and I was going to say that DeMarquise Allen is saying, hot take, Kobe White is too hyped up and will be average. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that because I thought he looked really good for North Carolina.
If you watch him against Duke, he's one of the reasons why they won against Duke. Yeah,
exactly. So my thing with Kobe White is I think it was the pick the Bulls needed to make because they lost out on Garland, but they still needed a point guard because the Chris Dunn era needs to end immediately.
Yeah.
But what was driving me nuts was there was all this talk about the Bulls potentially trading Zach LaVine to I think it was to the Pelicans. It's some 3-way crazy ass deal
for the Lakers
for what's his name, for Lonzo Ball. I'm thinking like, why would you make that dumbass deal? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Zach LaVine is maybe the top 2 best players you have outside of Laurie. So what is the point of you trading you have no shooting guard to replace Zach LaVine. Yeah. And Zach LaVine, when healthy, and I've seen him been putting in work as well.
Oh, hell
Zach LaVine's going to be a monster. There's a lot of, we see Zach LaVine as the dunker, but we forget this man can shoot and score.
His game evolved this year, Nick.
Easily.
He was a 20+ point a game scorer. He stepped up on defense a lot. I want to give him credit for that because a guy like that who has high expectations, got a max contract, people are starting to criticize him. It gets easy to focus on being the best offensive player, and he worked on his defense, and props to him. D-Mac, when it comes to my boy Kobe White, I have to really disagree. I think honestly, I think Kobe White is one of the safest picks in the whole draft.
Agreed.
I think his floor is so high because, first of all, he's 6'5". Second of all, he comes from an offense at North Carolina that runs a really similar way than the Bulls want to run their basketball this year.
Right.
And also, I mentioned it to you before, when you watch Kobe White in big games, he's the guy hitting big shots.
Yep.
He's the guy on the pick and roll that's really good. And again, he's fast.
Yep.
Like, this guy is really fast and really athletic. He's got growing to do. Listen, don't get me wrong, but he's a young kid, and man, I really like the pick. And quite frankly, Nick, I don't see anybody else on the draft board that was like, yeah, we're going to take him because he's better right now.
Right.
I talked to you about this. We're not in a best player available type of mentality right now. We need a point guard,
Yep.
and I'm happy we did that. And quite frankly, I'm happy with the Bulls in their second round pick too. I would have been happier if we got Bol. Okay, Bol was on the board, and they decided to pass on him. I was watching the second round. I wasn't watching the second round. I switched, and the Bulls were about to pick. And then I saw Bol was on available, and all I was thinking was, man, Garpax has a chance to really do something. Like, instead of picking a project and it being from Iowa State and never seeing the floor, let's try it with Bol. Okay, he's a second round pick. They get Gafford. He's a Daniel Gafford. He's a center from Arkansas. Actually, a really good player. Okay, I'll give him that, and a good project. I would have loved Bol there though, man. That would be nice.
And I'm with you. I was thinking the same thing for the Knicks because there was actually reports that New York wanted to trade back up into the first round.
Wow.
To try and get Bol after they drafted RJ, but unfortunately he gets to the Heat and then subsequently gets traded to Denver.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that makes sense if you think about it, the way Denver plays.
Stash him behind Jokic, yeah.
Because Nikola Jokic kind of plays a similar, non-typical,
handling the ball
center that can hit a three here and there. We know, Bol can hit threes and take shots. And think about it, outside of the foot injury, the man averaged 21, 9 and 9.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's unfortunate that he slipped, and I think a lot of it had to do with the injury.
Yeah.
But
and Nick, he's 210 pounds.
Yeah. For a guy that's
7'3", 210 pounds. I get it. Now, this is another example of if somebody were to tell Bol, and I know this is risky nowadays because of the money reasons, but Bol, go back to Oregon for a year.
Yeah.
And gain 15 pounds, show that you can play a full season, and you're a top 10 pick next year. Obviously, listen, that's easier for me to say from here, right? Don't take, a life-changing opportunity and go back to school to play for free. But man, Bol, I felt bad for the kid.
I did too.
Sitting in the green room and to get picked in this, towards the end of the second round, it was sad.
Yeah, it was.
Who do you think were your? I know this is such a cliche question, but the winner of the draft.
I loved what Atlanta did.
Yeah,
I really love what Atlanta did, and Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Atlanta trade for Allen Crabbe from?
They did,
So,
and he's an expiring contract, so they'll have some space next year too. Yeah.
So that means that the starting five for Atlanta would probably be Trae Young, Allen Crabbe, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, and John Collins. That's a 6 starting five for a team that's coming up and growing.
Yeah.
And
that's a little small though, right? It's small lineup. You're
but think about it. But wait a minute. Let's be real about it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to put the Atlanta Hawks on the same category as the Golden State Warriors, but the Golden State Warriors don't have a dominant center that's playing.
That's true.
Andrew Bogut's 50 years old and he's just a stopgap.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So you got a freakish defender in DeAndre Hunter that not only did you trade up to get him, but you were able to stay in the top 10 and get you another freak guy in Cam Reddish, who a lot of people believe is the Duke player that had the highest ceiling out of him, RJ, and Zion. So now you get you a 6'8" forward, you got you a 6'9" 4, you got you a 6, what is John Collins, like 6'9" 4.
Yeah.
So I feel like Atlanta really. I think maybe we won't see it this year because they're still young.
Right.
But I most definitely think that in 2 or 3 years, the Atlanta Hawks are really going to be good. And I really think they killed this draft. You know, all this talk about what New Orleans did and all this talk about maybe what a team like, you know, what maybe the Knicks did or whatever, Atlanta really got overlooked. And I really like what they did.
Yeah, and I agree with you because if you want to play that style, then play that style, and you've got the perfect defensive sort of personnel for that. So, and they got the point guard to do it too. You want the guy and the guy who can score and get you production, and also be the guy to get others involved. So good for them.
And let me say this too. This is one of the reasons why sometimes you don't listen to certain experts.
Right.
Michael Wilbon, about 2 years ago when Trae Young came out, swore up and down that he didn't want the Bulls to take Trae Young.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I'd love us to get a point guard, but I just don't feel Trae Young, blah, 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 blah." And Trae Young came out to be, second in the voting potentially, or maybe a co-rookie of the year with him and Luka, who happened to get traded for one another.
Right.
So you were going to go one more. You know, this is no diss to Kobe White, but at the same time, what I'm saying is Trae Young, I think a lot of people saw him as a shooter and was like, oh, well, college defenses aren't even that good anyway.
Yeah.
And they kind of underrated how good he was really going to be. And once he got comfortable with Atlanta, he snapped off.
Yeah, and
he
he's
would look
consistent
good in the Bulls
too.
uniform.
Consistent.
Yeah.
He didn't show like the same type of things that people were worried about, which is can he play like
Can
with
he
the
play?
physical?
Can he pass as a point guard? He's just a shooter, this and that. But I hate to be this guy, but of the last few finals, your point guards,
they haven't.
Steph Curry is a shooter.
Right.
Kyrie is a shooter. So once again, you referring to the old school mentality to these guys, you know, thinking that everyone has to be the John Stocktons of the world and the Magics of the world and the Oscar Robinsons of the world. You know, that era's over with, man. The point guards are going out there lighting up shots.
Yeah, and you better get it. Listen, you better adapt or die. That's what it is. If you're not going to adapt and try and play the way that the game is playing in this moment, then you're going to be left behind like a lot of these franchises have, man. I mean, listen, there hasn't been a lot of parity in the league the last 10 years, Nick. I mean, since the whole Heat debacle and then the Warriors sort of taking over on their own, there hasn't been a lot of teams that can genuinely say we've got a shot this year.
Right.
And I think things were going to change. The dichotomy of things has changed with the injuries to Golden State and sort of Toronto showing that you can go out there and piece together a team and win that year. I mean, people forget that Toronto pieced together this team last offseason, okay? Nick Nurse is a first-year head coach. Kawhi is a first-year player. Danny Green, first-year player. There was a lot of consistency with guys elsewhere, but they pieced together this team and they won against the Giants of the league.
Let me also throw this out there. Don't forget you can call into the show 312-869-4117. The phone lines are open. You can talk about whatever you want. We're starting off in the NBA. If you want to talk NHL, I did watch a lot of the NHL draft yesterday. I do have some thoughts on that. Because I'm just going to say right now, if you like the Detroit Red Wings and you thought they made a good pick yesterday because you believe in Steve Yzerman, you smoke
crack?
Not so much crack, the Blue Magic.
What's the
name?
good stuff, Denzel Washington's character. Frank Lucas.
You smoke Frank Lucas Blue Magic.
Blue Magic.
But we'll get into that in a sec.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And I do want to just give my winner because I love what the Celtics did. Say what you want about the free agency stuff, okay? Horford's leaving. That was a little unexpected for them, Nick. He pulled the rug from under them and said, I don't know if I can do this because he saw Kyrie's out the door. So what am I going to do? Shoulder the load with Gordon Hayward and a bunch of 20-year-old kids? I don't blame him for that. Credit to Danny Ainge. Not going out there and sulking. He knows he's going to have cap space. And he had 3 picks or 4 picks, and 2 of them in the first round. He got Romeo Langford, who I think he was a number 1 prospect out of high school 2 years ago. all of a sudden now.
The kid from Indiana. Okay.
Romeo Langford, really, really good player. Grant Williams, another guy. Listen, we talked about this last week. All of these ESPN assholes talking about this isn't a deep draft. And, there's not a lot of players in this team. In this draft class. And then every freaking pick in the first end of the first round and the beginning of the second round, you got these analysts talking about this guy could be a pretty good player. He could contribute to a team in a couple of years. Listen, dude, if you got guys in the second round that you're saying you think can contribute in a couple of years, that's a deep draft.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you're not going to get a Zion in round 2, bro. Right. So for people who are saying this wasn't a deep draft, we talked to some of the guys, Nick, that went absurdly high. Me and you were talking about 2 weeks ago saying they've got Tyler Herro going in the 20s. What do you know? Miami sees him at 13 and they say we got to snag him. He's one of the best shooters in the draft. And another trend to watch out for, shooters. Teams prioritize shooters this year. Cameron Johnson, we gave the Suns shit about that. He's the best shooter in the draft. Tyler Herro, a little bit of a stretch pick for Miami. One of the best shooters in the draft. The best free throw shooter in college history, I think, is his free throw percentage. Right. So, listen, man, stop with this whole it's not a deep draft thing. If you got guys that could possibly contribute to the team in a year or two, right, in round 2, right, and you're not just throwing it on a stash away. I mean, dude, you remember the days 8 to 10 years ago where the second round was all European stashes and guys who stayed in college for 4 years.
Yep.
That's what the second round was.
Yep.
Now you've got 19-year-old kids who could possibly play in 2 or 3 years. We don't know. It's too soon. So it's crazy to see all these pundits talking about, oh, it's not a deep draft, and then you got guys going in the late first round that could be contributors in a year or two.
Right.
So and then some of the more intriguing things that happened with free agency, Nick. Now it seems like there's a little bit more steam behind the idea that Klay Thompson's going to stay put.
Yep.
A little bit more steam behind possibly Kevin Durant staying put.
Yep.
And I did read something about him and his agent saying that they wouldn't accept anything from less than a 4-year deal. Okay, I get it. The conventional wisdom is you don't turn down a deal at Durant's age.
Right.
But I talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think they should do a bridge deal. I think they should do a 2-year with a player option. And you tell Durant, listen, you're going to have to take a pay cut this year because you're not going to play, okay? Right. You're not going to play. So take the pay cut and come back if you feel like it. Meaning, make the decision next year. Okay, let's see how this team. I think the Warriors can sell him on that. And I think it would make more sense for him to do that than to sign a 4-year deal with the Knicks or the Clippers or the Nets. I know the Nets now have a lot of, they cleared some salary space, and now they're pushing for a Kyrie and Kevin Durant signing. A lot of sort of different dynamics with the Kawhi stuff, too. Kawhi, we thought, was staying put. Now you're seeing possibly, they saw him with moving boxes at a Home Depot. So there's a lot of sort of interesting stuff going on. I don't think a lot has changed as far as what I think. I still think the Knicks right now have to go after Durant hard. I know that they're going to talk to Kawhi. But you got to go after Durant hard, and you got to say, hey, man, this would be awesome for you to sit here and teach RJ for a year and rehab in New York. You know what? Fuck it. Rehab in LA if you want.
Right.
You want to stay out there? Go ahead. You're not going to travel with the team. You don't have to travel with the team. So they've got to make a pitch because, dude, KD, man, he's got a decision to make. This is going to be a league-changing decision with KD because he could just stay put and say, let's try our luck next year.
No, I'm with you on that. And on top of that, hold on, I can't do 2 things.
No, you're good, man. No,
someone's asking for the phone number so we can call in.
Oh, yeah. Again, sorry, guys. So the phone number to call in, and you guys can talk about whatever you want, okay? We'll get to everything eventually. The phone number, again, 312-869-4117.
What were you talking? Oh, KD. So with Kevin Durant, yes, I think I'm with you on that. Personally, I don't think Kawhi's leaving Toronto.
No, I don't think so.
Based on just his own personality, I feel like the small market cities like Toronto or, like Milwaukee would be one. San Antonio would be another one.
Sure.
Those fit his personality and his style and who he is.
Yeah.
I don't see him really trying to come to a big market city like New York, like L.A.,
No.
like even if the Brooklyn Nets thought that they had a chance. I don't see him really going to these big markets. So I really think at this point the grass may not be so much green on the other side. He stays in Toronto. I really still think the New York Knicks, in my opinion, are still the front runners to get Kevin Durant.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
I still think that the New York Knicks are going to sell on Kevin exactly what you said. Look, we know you're not going to play next year. We don't care about that. What I do care about is you being healthy when you're ready to come back. Take your time. Take all the time you need. And when you're ready, come back. Because here's what we're going to do. We're going to sign you to the max contract.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to sign little bits and pieces over here to get us through the season, just like we did last year.
To learn how to win. We talked about
and
this.
then hopefully what happens is Anthony Davis see that this team is improving and then says, you know what, LA, this was cool, but I'm not feeling this. I'm leaving free agency wise, and then I'm going to come east and come play with the New York Knicks.
Listen, Nick. I believe in thinking things into reality.
Yep.
I think that's what you're doing right now.
Yep.
Okay? I like that. I'm telling you this. The Lakers would have never given up what they gave up if they didn't get a promise that he was going to extend.
Let me say this.
I'm telling you that right now.
Let me say this too.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Lakers are the most desperate.
They are, and they're also dumb. They've proven to be dumb. Yeah.
So you let Rob Pelinka make this deal.
Yeah.
This guy's not even a general manager.
Yeah.
And again, there are multiple reports coming out that this man didn't even know the salary cap situation.
So terrible.
So the Lakers don't even think that they're in as good salary cap situations they thought they did. Come on, man. And once all the tomfoolery happens, because here's the problem. LeBron James is what now? 35, 36 years old.
He's getting up there.
He's been in the NBA now almost 17, 18 years. He's getting hurt. Anthony Davis hasn't played over 77 games. Oh, no, excuse me. Played over 70 games one time. I won't go 80 because a lot of players don't do that nowadays. So over 70, he did it one time. And has only been to the playoffs twice.
Yeah.
So my thing is the Lakers have so much hype around them. They really do.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. I'm not saying Frank Vogel isn't a bad head coach. I think he's a really good head coach. I think he got a raw deal in Indiana. My problem is that's not the guy LA really wanted. They wanted Ty Lue. They wanted Monty Williams. Both them guys smart enough is like, this place is garbage. I don't want to come play here.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So that's why I'm saying for everybody that's sitting here trying to hype up the Los Angeles Lakers, you got your man AD. Be happy about that. But the package you gave to New Orleans in the long run are going to make you guys look like idiots. And as a Knicks fan who saw the Knicks damn near trade a starting 5 and 2 to 3 first-round draft picks to the Denver Nuggets for Carmelo and a couple of extra other pieces, look where the Knicks went after so long. And look, now a lot of them guys, Raymond Felton, I think is in
Oklahoma City.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Danilo Gallinari is still a good player.
The Clippers, yeah.
He's with LA. But them times they was in Denver, Denver was flirting with going into the playoffs. The Knicks weren't. And now we got handicapped because we didn't have a first-round draft pick until the Knicks drafted KP a few years back.
Right.
So I'm telling LA, it's like a temporary Band-Aid on a huge problem.
And that's why I'm telling you, man, this AD thing, this extension is done. I'm telling you this right now. Rich Paul is too respected and he's too influential with the Lakers and with LeBron James to not guarantee there's an extension coming. So, listen, anything can happen. We know that.
Can happen.
We know that. Anything
you and I are
going to
be on separate sides of the fence on this one because I think AD, because think about it like this.
Yeah.
Think about it like this. A lot of these guys, okay, LeBron was actually the first to do this. LeBron James wanted the feel of what it's like
to go in free
to
agency.
be a free agent.
Right.
Carmelo,
to be courted,
before he was signed with the Knicks, said the same thing. I wanted to know what the feeling is.
Sure.
You gonna tell me a guy like AD, who's about to be 27 years old in the
Yeah.
prime of his career, ain't gonna want to go around and listen to everybody's pitches? So that's why I'm saying I don't think it's etched in stone. I think he might say, look, when I become a free agent, you guys will be on the front runner on my list. But let me go hear what the Clippers guys say. Let me go hear what the Knicks have to say. Let me go hear what maybe what Brooklyn has to say.
Yeah.
Let me hear what these guys have to say.
Yeah.
And then if I don't like it, I'll come back.
Yeah.
But I just don't see Anthony, because think about it like this. If Anthony Davis signs an extension and LeBron retires in 2 years, Anthony Davis in the same damn situation he was in New Orleans.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this, okay, Nick? Rich Paul is a next level agent. We know this through LeBron and some of the other agents or players that he represents. And I think AD and Rich Paul have been cooking up this LA thing for like 4 or 5 years now. I know that they met or they started their partnership officially only a couple years ago, and that's when people started to say, "Oh, he's definitely going to LA." But, man, Anthony Davis, I'll tell you this. If the Lakers can come out, and the real decision maker is going to be this, Nick. Are they going to try and be stupid and bring in another max player? Because that's stupid.
Real stupid.
Because you've got, right now, 3 players on your team. And 3 players that you're actively trying to get rid of because you don't even have a cap guy to tell you, hey, in order for us to have max money, you can't have these 3 guys on your roster. Nobody told Rob Pelinka that. That is a really big no-no and a really big sign of why guys like Monty Williams and Ty Lue walked out the door.
Okay, so with that point being said, you don't think that Anthony Davis is sitting there like, okay, good, I'm in LA, but damn, this place is a flipping mess.
I'm telling you this, Nick. I'm telling you, even with as incompetent as the Lakers are, working with Rich Paul, I think the only way that they would have pulled the trigger on that deal is if they got a handshake from Rich Paul that the extension is done. Now, I could be wrong. That's speculation on my part, Nick. I don't have any verified sources on that. This is my gut feeling telling you that I think both of us have been around long enough to know the way handshakes work in the NBA. They're just very flimsy. That they could have had a handshake deal and somebody will just say fuck it, we don't want to do that anymore. And AD can do that, and people have done that in the past. So it's not out of the question. My big thing with that, Nick, is that the Lakers can go out now and use the close to $30 million that they have and build a real team. I mean, I'm telling you this right now. They've got 20-something million right now. That's enough to get you 2 or 3 impactful free agents and also field a team that's not just going to be 10 minimum contract players and 5 guys who make 90% of your salary.
Right.
So they have a chance to do that. Now, they are also rumored to basically be obsessed with trying to have a max slot. To me, that's a huge fucking mistake. You're gonna have AD, LeBron, and a max player with Kyle Kuzma and 11 guys on minimum contracts. That's a really, really, even the Heat, they had 8, I think the Heat did back in their day. And people were like, whoa, how are they gonna even win a game in the league? You can't, you need a 10-man squad. And now you're seeing the Lakers possibly gambling on having close to 11 players as minimum players.
And think about it like this, too. That Heat had prime Wade, prime LeBron, and prime Bosh.
Yeah.
This team has prime AD, old-ass LeBron. Even though LeBron is still playing at a high level, you still can't ignore the fact. No, you cannot ignore the fact that this man is 36 years old.
Yeah.
Or 35, 36, however LeBron
injury problems last year.
Has injury problems.
Yeah.
And then you're going to try and add in another max slot. But again, I don't see the Lakers doing that because and people are going to be like, oh, Nick, you're such a hater because you want him to go to New York. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, as a guy who roots for a team that's been a mess, especially under the Phil Jackson era, it's like, it takes one to know one. And I'm telling you right now, the Los Angeles Lakers is a drama that a lot of people aren't going to want to deal with.
Yeah.
Because the Los Angeles Clippers are still being talked about, a team that they'll shoot their shot with a lot of these free agents and are hoping they can get somebody.
Yeah.
And there's people that are talking and thinking that the Clippers, like when you talk to a lot of these experts, the Lakers' name isn't the first LA city that comes up. It'll come up, but they're saying, oh, LA Lakers, LA Clippers, oh, the Knicks, oh, the Nets, oh, whoever they're playing for.
Yeah.
But, the Lakers aren't the first name that comes up. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying that personally, I believe that the New York Knicks or that the Los Angeles Lakers, yeah, you got AD, but now do you want to deal with the drama?
Yeah, and
that's the biggest question.
That's fair because listen, it's a stretch to say that somebody would keep their handshake promise with a competent organization. How would you feel if you're looking at an incompetent organization like the Lakers and your AD? You might be looking at each other like, man, maybe we should see how this year goes before we start thinking about giving out handshake promises. I'm just telling you that my instinct is that the Lakers gave up way too much, and we both know they gave up a lot for AD, especially given that the New Orleans back was against the wall, and you didn't really have to give them all that. Where I draw the line is giving them the number 11 pick. Like, you didn't have to give them this year's pick. You already gave them 3 pretty good young players and 2 other picks in the future. You could have given them another pick next year, another pick the year after. And they got fleeced. I just think New Orleans, quite frankly,
I think New Orleans fleeced
they did.
LA
they did
because they were desperate.
Yeah.
F the handshake.
Yeah.
The New Orleans Pelicans said, like, okay, let's try and fleece the Knicks.
Sure.
The
They
Knicks
did it.
like-
They tried to do
like,
it to the
hey,
Lakers last year.
They
Yeah.
said, hey, this ain't Isaiah Thomas in this office.
Yeah. No.
So hell no, I don't like your deal. Get the hell off my phone.
Yo, man,
So
credit
they was
to
like-
Scott Perry, man.
Right,
Credit to Scott Perry for not folding and saying, man, we need to make a move or else we're in trouble.
Man, we need that splash deal.
Yeah.
No. So then they were like, well, damn it. Well, we can't go into the draft without, and here comes the Los Angeles Lakers. Guys.
Right. Get it together. And,
What else
yeah.
more do we need to do? Okay, so we want control of my picks for the next 5 to 7 years? Fine. Just tell me what you want.
Sure.
Here's the blank check. No, here's the blank piece of paper. You write on the piece of paper all you want.
Right. Yeah.
And freaking New Orleans gave them a break by saying, like, you know what? Because we're going to fleece you with this deal, we won't take Kuzma. So look, so you guys have some type of a chance of winning. Here's our deal. So they looked at the deal. They said, oh, snap. Okay, so Lonzo, we can part with Lonzo. Josh Hart, who's that? Brandon Ingram.
Take him.
We'll take him. Looks like he's going to have a injury anyway. You know, a life-threatening injury. Okay, we'll take that. The 4th pick, maybe we can flip that with Memphis. Okay. And then I got your pick. I got your unprotected pick for the next year. Oh, okay, I think I could work with that. And then they were like, deal accepted.
Deal acceptable.
Handshake. Saw the desperation, the sweat coming off of Rob Pelinka's fat ass head. Because he was like, oh my God, I want to look better than Magic Johnson, because even Magic Johnson couldn't pull off this deal.
Yeah.
And they were sitting there and they tapping their little fingers and they like, damn man, come on man, just go ahead and say yes. And they finally said yes. They were desperate.
Yeah.
Desperate to make that deal.
And
so New Orleans came out like, okay, look, man, we ain't got no AD. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
But look at this hot ass package we got into this though.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if you ever seen the music video Big by Manny Fresh.
Okay.
There's a scene in the video when he turned in his Maserati for like 10 other cars, that those 10 cars in value equal the Maserati.
Yeah.
That's exactly what New Orleans did to LA.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
He went in, they was like, look, I give you AD
Yeah.
for all that.
Yeah.
And if there's any cash considerations, just give it to him right there.
Right. And I don't want to go too overboard, because a lot of people are like anointing David Griffin as if he's like the best GM of all time for that.
Right.
Listen, it's not hard to trade a superstar player, Nick.
True.
Me and you could sit in a GM room and get back what he got back for a player of that caliber.
Oh, agree.
And I will tell you this,
more.
Nick, and I want to mention this every time somebody calls AD injury prone, I want to remind them of what a mess New Orleans medical staff has been the last 4 or 5 years. They took on the New Orleans Saints staff for convenience and money purposes because the Bensons own both the Saints and the Pelicans.
Right.
They had a football medical staff treating basketball players. Literally anybody in the first year of gen eds at a sports science degree will tell you that's a no-no.
Right.
So New Orleans has had a terrible history with injuries, not just with AD. Let's not forget that Boogie tore his Achilles there. Let's not forget that when Julius Randle got there, somehow he was injured every 2 weeks.
Yep.
So that's a big thing to mention. Nick, I want to transition to some NHL draft with you. I do have to do this read for us, but I want to do some NHL draft. We need to obviously talk about the Yankees and talk about some White Sox as well.
The hottest team in baseball.
And credit to the White Sox for putting up a fight in the series with you guys, because I know the first 2 games went our way really well, but obviously the Yankees end up splitting with us. We'll obviously talk a little bit of MMA. The MMA card, Nick, it's a little sparse. Not a lot of really intriguing fights. I think the main event is Moicano versus Renato Moicano versus the Korean Superboy. Korean Zombie. Sorry, not Korean Superboy. There's too many Korean nicknames for me to track. But Nick,
agree.
It's summer. It's pretty nice out now. I think I'll give it that. It's been a little bit bipolar, the weather over the last few weeks.
But prepare for the heat.
Yes, prepare for the heat. And dude, I don't have to tell you this, Nick, but I think everybody knows me. Everybody who knows me know that I sweat like a pig. No matter what. Okay, ever since I was a kid, I literally would be just running for 2 minutes and look like I'm about to hyperventilate and die with my sweating all over. And now that listen, dude, I'm 6'2". I'm a little bit, I'm on the huskier side. I got problems sweating, okay, Nick? And the big thing right now that's getting me is downstairs area. Obviously, we got the men's area, and then the chest, because I got a little chest hair going, and the chest hair and it forms a little heart. People who play basketball with me,
you gotta hit the pits a little bit.
Give it a little, give
the
my pits aren't so bad.
Extra love.
Yeah, I got lucky because my pits aren't so bad, but man, I got a lot of body sweat, guys. And I'm telling you this right now, we are super, super excited to work with this upcoming sponsor here. It's Knucks 3-in-1 refresher spray, guys. Listen, when you're running around on a hot day, I think it's like 80 degrees out, but man, we better get ready for that 90-something degree coming pretty soon.
Looking forward to it.
It's about to be sweaty and sticky, but listen, I don't always have time to go to, take a shower. Sometimes it's the worst feeling in the world when you're all sweaty and nasty and like, shit, I can't even take a shower soon. Like, ugh. Don't have a change of clothes, whatever it may be. If you have ever played sports, guys, and even like at a recreational level, I play softball, and sometimes I come home and I'm just looking at myself like, my God.
I'm disgusting.
Disgusting, okay? It's gross, chafing, itching, stinking. Guys, the undercarriage is not always well put together on my part, and I'm a big guy. It gets a little messy down there. I know people use baby powder for their junk. I'm not necessarily a baby powder guy. I know body spray, listen, it covers up the stink, but you end up smelling like stink in like, a LA Fitness bathroom or something like that.
Facts.
So, listen,
facts.
guys, there's a solution to all of this, guys. It's Knucks. Knucks 3-in-1 refresher spray is made to replace all the other halfway solutions on the market, guys. Knucks is a moisture absorbing spray that is designed specifically for men. So, we're talking, this is something that is specifically made for guys like us, and that also includes our undercarriage, okay? Armpits, clothing, sports pads, athletic equipment like boxing gloves or MMA gloves, helmets, anything that gets nasty and sweaty during activity, which for me is everything that's touching my body. Knucks 3-in-1 refresher spray, guys, has no aluminum ingredients and is tested to be safe and effective all over the body. It comes scented or unscented. So if you guys want to find out more about this, please, guys, do me a favor. Go check out myknucks.com. That's MYKNUCKS, myknucks.com. Again, guys, that's myknucks.com for all of your needs when it comes to that. And listen, man, it was the first day of summer yesterday, I believe it was. And we finally got the weather today, so this is perfect, guys. Perfect timing. Go out and check out Knucks 3-in-1 Refresher Spray. Nick, the NHL draft happened Friday evening, the day after the NBA draft, which, listen, I'm proud of those two organizations for getting their shit together. They don't always have it so that they're like on consecutive days. I think that worked out well. So we talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks. Jack Hughes, who... Guys, this kid has been like anointed by Patrick Kane, by a lot of these Team USA guys, a lot of the St. Louis Blues guys who are guys who have played on the American team with him. He was anointed, and I think he was a consensus #1 pick. So congrats to the New Jersey Devils for sucking enough to get him. And then your Rangers, Nick, Capo Caco. What a great job this guy has done in the is it the under 18s that he was playing with his country?
With Finland?
With Finland,
yes.
Yeah. So under 18s, this guy comes out of nowhere and leads the team basically to success in that tournament, and it was really all on his back. So shout out to the Rangers. How do you feel about that pick, Nick?
Man, it's a great pick. Just kind of looking at the highlights, because when I realized that the Rangers had gotten the #2 pick, I was thinking to myself, okay, like, because all the hype at the draft lottery show that was on NBC Sports Network, was Jack Hughes,
right.
So I'm like, damn, we got #2, because the Rangers have never won. They've never won a draft lottery before.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, cool, we got 2. So let me take a look and see who's the next guy up on the boards. Capo Caco. Everyone's saying Caco's the #2
Pretty
guy.
unanimous #2, yeah.
Extremely unanimous #2 guy. So I'm looking at his highlights, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then they start putting his stuff on the NHL network. And, I mean, he's big, he's fast, he can score. And they think that he might actually be more NHL ready than Jack Hughes.
I saw that too.
Not saying that Jack Hughes ain't ready to lead the game.
Yeah, that's that floor ceiling though thing, right?
Right.
They're saying that Hughes has the higher ceiling, but Caco's got the highest floor, because you're already seeing what this guy can do against top level competition. Man, that was really impressive. And just to transition a little bit, the Blackhawks ended up selecting the Kirby Dach. He's a center. Man, he was one of, I think, 4 guys that they were considering. 2 of them were defensemen, but they've selected defensemen the last 2 years in the first round, so I was happy they didn't go that way. They went with a big guy, but Kirby wasn't as NHL ready. There was a second guy, Alex Turcotte. I was reading a lot about him that people were saying he could play next year.
Right.
And I think the big thing that the Blackhawks said was, This guy Doc has got a bigger ceiling. We're gonna have to kind of take our chances with him. And Caco, man, every highlight you see of this guy, he's making NHL type plays,
right.
And he's clearly a guy that can come up next year and be in contention and make the actual team.
Let me say this, because obviously we always talk about winners and losers of the draft,
right?
And I watched a good majority of the NHL, the first round yesterday, and I did not. I mean, I understood that the Senators had made that trade for Matt Duchene,
right? Yeah. Oh my God!
We're talking about fleece jobs in the NBA
that lasted 5 years.
That is highway robbery.
Yeah, my God!
And on top of that, not only did you lose out on the 4th pick, but now Matt Duchene may not even come back to Ottawa.
I know.
I mean, there's so much link between him and New York and him and a few other places.
And they've got nothing to show for it. No playoff, not even playoff successes to show for it.
Yeah. And then you turn around, you traded your best defensive man, like your face of the franchise, in Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
He's now in San Jose, and he just re-upped for, I think, like 7 years, $77 million, or 8 years, $88 million, some crazy like that.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, the Senators tried to buy themselves a cup, not thinking they were going to suck so hard, and they did. And the Colorado Avalanche, took full advantage of it because then they drafted Bowen Byram, who a lot of people thought that the Blackhawks were going to get.
He was by far the number one defensive player in the draft, and I think a lot of people said not only is he number one player, but he is a future number one defenseman.
Right,
and that is huge. So, dude, and the Avalanche, they're my winners. They're my winners because they got a center, Alex Newhook, later on in the first round, and watching that guy and the type of play that the NHL is in nowadays, and that's why I'm happy the Blackhawks have adapted a little bit, is your centerman has to play fast and unselfish. You need that to happen. Part of the reason why the Blues are so successful, especially later into the playoffs and into their Stanley Cup run, was that their centermen were creating chances.
Right.
And you absolutely need a guy who isn't just going to chuck the puck at the net and hope for something. And credit to the Avalanche, they get themselves a future number one D-man and possibly a future first or second line centerman. That's really good.
Yeah, and there was something else I want to say. Oh, I made this teaser earlier.
Yes, sir.
The Detroit Red Wings.
God, yeah.
I don't want to say they should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that when they drafted the German kid, I got his name right here, Moritz Seider.
Mm-hmm.
Moritz Seider was shocked he got drafted, and then the crowd reacted like, "What the hell is
this kid?
Who is this guy?"
Yeah.
So we're talking about a franchise that at one point went to the playoffs for 25 straight years.
Right.
They haven't been there in the last 3. This is either going to be a hit or a miss pick.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I thought that was a huge reach by the Detroit Red Wings. I didn't like that pick
and the
at all.
first round is so important in the NHL. Like, you can't miss first round, guys.
Right.
That's huge. Like, we talked about this in previous shows already, Nick, but the difference between the NHL and the MLB draft and the NBA and the NFL draft is like night and day. Because the NHL draft, man, that first round, you're possibly going to be looking at players who can be impactful right away.
Right.
After the first round, Nick, you're more than likely looking at stashing players away and hoping to develop them.
Right.
And very rarely do you see guys, even after the first 3 rounds, that can make it to the ice within the first 2 years of them getting drafted.
Right.
Very similar to baseball. And you know what? I like that system. It makes for better parity in the league because you're allowing teams to develop players. And the NBA and the NFL are in trouble with that, Nick, because their drafts are geared towards guys that need to. I mean, we talked about it earlier. This is not a deep draft. Dude, you've got guys who you're saying can be starting level caliber players in the second round. And you're saying just because you have to develop them for a year or two that, they're not valuable right now. That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
And listen, the NHL draft, I think they do a great job, better than the NBA and the NHL, of showing who the player is. Meaning, don't just show me highlight tapes. Tell me what this guy does well. Tell me what this guy doesn't do well, and give me a good idea of when I can expect to see him.
Yep.
Because they're so prepared in the NHL to talk about 8th round draft picks that they know, listen, we're going to have to make sure to be on top of our shit. So I enjoy watching the NHL draft, even though obviously we know none of these players.
The funny thing about Kako is when they showed his little his little profile, and it says room for improvement, none,
yeah, and that shows you.
That shows you that the Rangers are in good hands. It shows that because the Rangers also made a deal before draft night, when they traded for Trouba.
I saw that from
Winnipeg.
the Penguins. Oh, Winnipeg, yeah.
So
Winnipeg,
here's what the Rangers did: the Rangers gave Winnipeg Kevin Hayes for their first round pick, and then turn around and reflip the pick.
Wow.
And Neil Pionk for Trouba, who's now going to re-sign with New York, which sounds like long term. So this is where the Rangers, this is why the greatest blessing that the New York Rangers had was when Glenn Sather stepped down and John Davidson stepped in. Because Glenn Sather would, I don't know, like, I'm sure he would have picked Kako, but he would have picked someone probably that blows ass at number 20, right?
Yeah.
So here's where I think the Rangers are in such good hands, because you now got yourself a big defensive man. Dude, Trouba, it's like 6'3", 6'4", over 200 pounds. Played well for the Winnipeg Jets. So now you got your boy on there, and he's best friends with Brady Shea, who is another fast, big defensive man. So now Trouba and Shea could be together. So now the Rangers are like, okay, so we're gonna get our forward in Kako. We just got our defensive man. So where do we go from here?
Are they in on Panarin?
Because they're in on Panarin, but man, that price tag is huge.
He deserves
They're talking
it, man.
about that he's asking for almost $11 to $12 million per year.
He's worth it, dude. He's worth it.
But at the same time, he's also 26 years old, so it fits into the plan because Trouba's 25.
Yeah,
Cackle's under what he's obviously 18,
probably
19 years
19,
old.
Yeah.
So now the question is, where does New York go from here? Well, part A is they're probably going to buy out Kevin Shattenkirk. It just didn't work. They gave him a big deal. I love the New York Rangers. I want to play for the New York Rangers, this and that.
Yeah.
A lot of the reasons why teams scored on the Rangers last year was because Shattenkirk was always out of place in the power play.
Yeah.
Always out of flipping place. You're supposed to be the guy, and you're always out of place. So he might be gone. The Rangers might be done with Mark Stahl. I'm not necessarily high on that. I don't think that's going to happen per se quite yet, but he might be gone because the Rangers also drafted Keandre Miller last year. I think he's going to be coming up soon. You also got this kid Tony DeAngelo that's still on there.
By the way, guys, 312-869-4117. Call us if you have any questions. I know, Nick, I was trying to read the question, but I couldn't see it.
No, I saw what it was, and I'm going to respond to that in a sec.
Go right ahead, yeah.
Because Will's a big Knicks fan, just like myself.
Okay.
So you got – and I totally forgot. The reason why the Rangers didn't draft 5th today in the second round was because they traded that pick for the young kid Adam Fox. So this is where the comparisons come in. The Rangers, to me, have the ability to be the 2017 New York Yankees. Remember in 2016, the Yankees were sellers.
Right.
They were selling everybody. They got rid of Beltran. They got rid of Chapman. They got rid of Andrew Miller. They was trading left and right, but they stayed competitive. Then the next year, and this is myself included, I said, well, this team is rebuilding. I don't see the Yankees being any better than third. I'm thinking it's going to be Boston, Toronto, because Toronto was in the playoffs the year before, the Yankees, and everybody else. What ended up happening? The Yankees went all the way to Game 7 of the ALCS.
Oh, yeah.
So now I feel the Rangers are the same way, where they've made the right moves. Now, my boy Tommy, that one, I'm not sure if he's calling it or not. Here's the thing that Tommy and I were talking about last night, because he's a diehard Bruins fan.
Yeah.
Well, the Rangers want to trade Chris Kreider.
Sure.
And the guy that reminded me so much of Chris Kreider, I got his name on here because Tommy actually wanted the his Bruins to draft him, and he went really low. I got his name right here. His name is Raphael Lavoie. Raphael Lavoie, 6'4", 200 pounds. Centerman. The Rangers need a center.
Sure.
They said he's got the tools, he's got the size, he's got the speed. He may not have the hockey sense.
Oh, okay.
First person that came into my mind, Chris Kreider of the New York Rangers. He's got the speed, he's got the size, he can handle the puck. But I swear to God, this man's an idiot sometimes when he's on the ice.
Yeah.
I do not understand how this man has not had a 40-goal season yet. And you play next to Rick Nash, who plays almost as similar as you do.
Right. Yeah.
So now the Rangers are linked to maybe trading Jimmy Vesey to the Buffalo Sabres. Who knows what they're going to do with Chris Kreider? Because because Chris Kreider and the Rangers are far apart in extension talks.
Contract talks, yeah.
If that's the case, fine. But I would rather you trade him to get some pieces, preferably a center,
Yeah.
than go out there and lose him for nothing.
Sure, right. You don't want him to walk for nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything the Rangers have done so far, all the Rangers fans are in agreement that John Davison, great president, Mr. Ranger. Him and Jeff Gordon have now come with genius plans. They've done a great job. Now they got to figure out what they're going to do at goal.
Guys, we got a call. We got Tommy from Boston. He wants to talk about the draft.
Speaking of devil,
Tommy, what's up?
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to put him on.
All right. I ain't gonna lie, you almost scared of me.
I was gonna say, who's that?
I was like, I thought that was God talking to me in my
Steve,
headphones.
he sounded like God in our headphones, man.
Gentlemen,
Tommy, what's up, bro?
What's up, Tommy?
what's up, my man? How are you?
I can't complain, brother. Can you hear me?
What's going on? But let's talk some NHL draft, my man.
Let's do it. What's up?
I haven't seen what's happened today, so I can't go in depth on today. But I'd love to talk about last night. I think your Rangers are looking good. I think the Devils made a huge mistake today with that trade. Not on it. Not liking it.
Yeah, he's talking about PK Subban got traded.
Oh,
to
that's
New
right.
Jersey
That's why,
today.
and that's why the Jersey ended up trading Quenneville over to the Blackhawks after they traded for Subban. They got rid of Quenneville, who's a first rounder 2 years ago, and they traded him to the Blackhawks. I guess this guy's got some potential, but yeah, no, I agree with you. They sold a little bit early, and I'm not a huge fan of Subban.
What they're doing is. Nashville freed up the money to sign Matt Duchene. That's where he's going to end up going.
Oh.
But Subban for $9 million. So let's put it this way. So
My God.
obviously I'm in Boston. Mack, where are you at?
We're in Chicago here, my man.
Oh, you're all right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the city of champions. Not a big deal. Let's
Go ahead, my man.
But when you look at like the grand scheme of things, PK Subban is due $9 mil AAV over the next 3 years, and we have a guy, Charlie McAvoy, who is going to be coming up after next year, who's going to be looking at maybe a 6-year bridge deal, then $8 million a year. Giving a guy like PK Subban, who has played 5 years really in the NHL without an injury, his other 4 years he's missed a lot of time.
Yeah.
$9 million. So you say, well, what are you doing?
One of the reasons Montreal gave him up was because of that. They were so weary of that. Yeah.
So I think New Jersey is 2 or 3 years out from being a real contender in the Eastern Conference. But you look at a guy like Taylor Hall, who's making $6 million next year, and after 2020, he's a UFA.
Yeah.
So I really think they're saying, listen, Taylor, we're committing not to the long term. This is a short term, long term thing. We brought in Subban. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
we
you.
got you.
I lost you off the Bluetooth. So listen, they're going to say if we can get into the 7-8 seed, we can make some noise because look at Carolina. Look at Columbus. Look what these guys did.
Yeah.
I agree.
And look at what happened with Tampa Bay this year. They worked all year.
Screw them.
I mean, come on.
Bastards. If they would have just done what they were supposed to and win the Stanley Cup, we would have had 2 first-round picks.
Yeah. But no, I completely agree with you. And listen, New Jersey, man, I thought that Taylor Hall trade was a little bit weird, and especially considering how much resources Edmonton put to putting that team together, and then basically saying bye to him at the last second like that with that trade to New Jersey. I agree, they're quite a ways away, and man, I like Subban as a guy, as an athlete. But this guy is constantly exposed in big moments, and you saw that against the Blackhawks, even when the Blackhawks were facing him in Montreal.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just think his $1 million contract is an albatross. You're not seeing these guys getting. It's going to tie them down for a bit, but Jack Hughes is. Two years away from being a contributor. He's not going to be Eichel. He's not going to be Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Guys in the first year putting those numbers up. But you have him, you have Palmieri, these other guys, and they might be able to contend. But this is all about Taylor Hall. I would have held fast. I would have drafted Vlasic at 34th overall. Okay, I'm assuming he was probably still there.
Yeah.
I would have kept the picks and built off that. But now you run the risk of Taylor Hall saying, "Is this a rebuild?" And obviously, I don't know the area well, but Devils Rangers is kind of a big rivalry. I would
It's
assume.
a huge
Am I
rivalry.
right?
Yeah.
It's a huge rivalry. We do not like one another at all.
And that's a good call with Vlasic, man, because he fell. And this guy, a lot of people were talking about this guy in the mid-first round potentially, and then all of a sudden Vlasic falls. Who do you remember who he went to?
I'm looking right now, dude. This thing, I love.
Oh, you know who it was?
Freaking
You know who it was? I believe it was my Blackhawks. That's why I was blanking on it, because Vlasic, he's a D-man, and I know that the Blackhawks were a little bit weary. They have a thing. The Blackhawks have this thing where they're always trading their second through fourth round picks for no reason. So I think it was Vlasic who was chosen by the Blackhawks. I don't necessarily remember what it was, what the reason was that he dropped to the 12th pick of the second round, but I saw mock drafts with this guy going into
Chicago.
the 20s. So
it was Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, good for you, Stan. And again, the Blackhawks today traded for Joel Quenneville's second cousin, and they fired the guy after 12 games last season. So Stan Bowman, go fuck yourself. How about that? Instead of trading for his cousin, how about you let him get a full season before firing him?
And then Tommy, the guy you wanted last night, Raphael Lavoie, he ended up going to Edmonton today at number 7.
And he's a great player, and this is a guy that is 6'4", about 225, who was projected to go anywhere between 15 and 22, and the Bruins picked at 31. And I'm sitting here saying, take Lavoie, take whatever. It's actually Lavoie, but I'll say Lavoie because
sound French Canadian.
Take Lavoie, and then they took John Beecher, and I'm okay with that because in the Bruins system, all that we have after Bergeron and Krejci and Charlie Coyle at the NHL level is the kid Studnicka, who's had a great year this year. Other than that, we have no centers. So we drafted a center. The kid's 6'3", 216, going to University of Michigan next year. The kid has lightning speed, and I love the pick. I just really would have liked it to take Lavoie because he's a right shot center, and but his primary position is right wing, and that's what we need, a center or right wing. We're not looking for next year. We're not looking for the year after, but we're looking for down the road. I don't want to rebuild. I know, Nick, we go back and forth, we joke around, but in Boston, we don't rebuild, buddy. We don't do that, and it's just we've lucked out for the last 20 years with all of our teams. We really haven't had to do that.
Right.
I don't want to have to go through a hockey rebuild. I'd like to draft honest to God, we don't have a second-round pick this year. I would have traded up to grab the kid Lavoie in the second round. Just to have him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was mentioning that earlier because we traded our second-round pick, like our own second-round pick, to Carolina for Adam Fox. And I was thinking, damn, when they made the trade, it's like, okay, it's a good trade, but we have 2 other second-round picks we could have traded. We could have gave away Tampa Bay's second-round pick, or we could have gave away Winnipeg's second-round pick. Instead, we gave away ours. Lavoie sitting right there. The Rangers are a team that needs center because outside of Mika Zibanejad, you don't really have anybody. You let Kevin Hayes go last year. There's no other centers. So I feel you on that. But at the same time, I don't know if you heard me say, they were knocking on Lavoie yesterday because they said that his hockey sense sometimes may not be there. And I'm thinking that we have a guy in New York that's freaking Chris Kreider.
Yeah.
Like, again, I don't understand how.
You don't have Chris Kreider, buddy. Chris Kreider is going to be on the second line of the Bruins next year. Trust me. He's not coming back. Buddy, Chris Kreider.
I'm going to
need. I love Chris Kreider. Chris Kreider's coming home. He's a BC guy. He's coming back. You're going to lose him. You can't afford him. That's the problem.
If we're not getting 2 first-round draft picks, we're not talking.
I got GM Nick over here.
Buddy, buddy. I hate to break it to you. I love you. Chris Kreider's not worth two first-round draft picks. If you want 2 first-round draft picks for Chris Kreider, I'm all set.
You're gonna have to call the Lakers for that.
PK Subban got 2 terrible prospects. One kid in the NHL had 1 prospect and 2 second-rounders.
Yeah.
Chris
Oh my
Kreider
God.
is not getting you 2 first-round picks. It's not happening.
I can't get the Matt Duchene Colorado Avalanche deal.
No.
That's that Ricky. That's that Ricky Williams. No, he can't do that.
That's not happening. But now I predicate myself saying all these draft picks, and the argument to what I say is Chris Spooner. Chris Spooner was a second-round pick. He was a winger, center, all of these attributes, and he didn't matriculate here in Boston. We sent him to New York for Rick Nash, and we're not going to talk about Rick Nash. Don't bring Rick Nash up. But Chris Spooner was the classic example of, a pick that goes in the 30s and 40s. It doesn't really mean much, and I get it. These guys are draft picks, and the Bruins have whiffed. In 2015, they took Zaboral, DeBrusk, and Zach Sentien, 13, 14, 15, and 2 of those 3 will never have an impact in the league, and that was our fault. But I really believe that the center the Bruins took, the kid Beecher, is really going to be a player. And what's unfortunate is I'm a huge hockey fan. I love rivalries. When the Rangers aren't good, Nick, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm with you on
that.
that.
It doesn't do anything for me.
It's bad for the
And
NHL. It's bad for the NHL.
When the Blackhawks aren't good,
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything for me. When the Red Sox, Yankees, one of them is terrible, it does nothing for me.
Yeah,
I
no,
love the
I agree.
rivalries.
Yeah,
And
I
I
agree.
really want the Rangers and the Blackhawks to come back to reality because they're original 6 teams, and I love seeing that.
Yeah.
And I think we're a couple years out still. The team that I think everyone should watch out for is the Colorado Avalanche.
My God, what a draft they had.
They grabbed Bowen the other night. They have Cale Makar. They already have their forwards.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be the perennial contender for the next 7 or 8 years
Wow,
because
agreed.
the contracts are reasonable
Mhm.
and the guys they have are really, really good players.
Yeah, and it's great that you mentioned the contract stuff because the White Sox, the Blackhawks right now are so handcuffed salary wise when it comes to having both Kane and Taves on those max deals. And then having now, even with the increase to the salary cap this year, you've got Seabrook, Duncan Keith. You've got some guys on this team. Corey Crawford, a guy who may not be on the team next year. So, dude, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because, yeah, 2 original 6 teams. It's kind of like when people say like when the Maple Leafs are bad, it just sort of leaves a bad taste in all hockey's mouth, you know. Right. So I 100% agree. Tommy, I need to get your opinion. I know we're a little bit late on this, and I know that the scab may be a little bit still uncovered, but give us your thoughts on what happened in the Stanley Cup final this year.
The
Bruins, and the Blues.
Yes, I understand who played in it. I get it. the Blues. I get it.
No, the team that beat you and took the Stanley Cup. You know.
No, I know. No, I know. I get it. I get it. The Bears and the Bulls are good. So anyway,
not really.
So what? So here's what happened. The Bruins, on paper, the Bruins were overly talented.
Mm-hmm.
In 2011, the Bruins beat a superior team in the Knucks. In 2019, the St. Louis Blues were the 11 Bruins, and the Bruins were the 11 Canucks. That's what happened, and you have guys like Brad Marchand, and I like Brad Marchand. I get it. But Brad Marchand is not helping the Bruins. He is supremely physically talented, but above the eyes, he doesn't have much going on there.
Yeah.
And you have a guy who's been suspended 6 times for 19 games in his career, and then I'm a pretty astute guy of the hockey, just when it comes to the cerebral part of the game, and you cannot change lines in your own zone with 12 seconds left in the period, down 1-0.
Yeah.
And
in a game, winner goes home. Winner takes all. Matchup. Yeah.
Buddy, I don't care what it is. I coached hockey in Massachusetts in high school for 12 years, and I'm not one of these Al Bundy guys. But Massachusetts high school hockey is like Texas football,
right?
And I coached at one of the best schools in Massachusetts for 12 years. Played there for 4. We were ranked number 4 in the country my sophomore year of high school. We were pretty good, and I coached there for a while. But anyone in their peewee to midget high school years knows you don't change up in your own zone.
Right.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And he did it. And I don't think he has the cerebral attributes to be a marquee player. It cost them. That cost them the game. You outshot them 12-4. Up to that point, you're down 1-0. It happens.
Sure.
You go into the locker room. We're down 1-0. We outshot them, but now you're down 2-0. And you know what? They shut down. The St. Louis Blues dumped it in. They put 4 guys back at all times, and there's nothing you can do at that point.
Right.
They have a guy. They have the junior varsity Patrice Bergeron, Ryan O'Reilly, who is a really great player.
Oh yeah.
He's an all-around great player, incredibly underrated, and he scored a goal in the last 4 games of the Cup final.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, the Bruins have a goalie, and Tuukka Rask, who is a Hall of Fame goalie, no questions asked.
Absolutely, first
I don't
ballot.
care what they say, he is. And he stood on his head and carried that team for 23 games. In the 24th game, he needed his team to help him out, and they didn't. They were the worst 5-on-5 team in the playoffs in the last 3 years.
Wow.
But on that note, we take a look at Torrey Krug. What do we do with Torrey Krug? He has 1 year left, $5.25 million, not a huge hit.
It's not bad for a guy like him.
Based upon what he does.
Yeah.
However, do you trade Torrey Krug because he's gonna be about an $8.5 to $9.25 million guy for 4 or 5 years after this year, and you absolutely cannot afford that with the guys on your roster. So next year is all in for the. You have all your guys coming back, and you have a team that predicates itself on the power play. So what do you do with Torrey Krug? You have Mack Grizzlick, who's like 75% of what Torrey Krug does, at $1 million, 80% less of the cost. My thing is, unless you can get a player with 2 years of team control at $5 to $6 million a year, you keep Torrey Krug. And you go all in, balls deep next year and say, fuck it, we're going to go all out and see what we can do.
Yeah. Yeah, and you almost have to do that in this day and age where, if you're that close, and let's put it this way. I mean, I'm glad you said it. On paper, the Bruins were much better than the Blues, and they still have the team to come back. So they're not a team that needs to necessarily retool or anything. So I agree with you. I think it's it depends on the school of thought. Like, are we gonna maybe kind of plan ahead a little bit with this Krug thing, or are we just gonna say, you know what, let's put the best team on the ice for 1 year and see if we can get back to the Cup? Interesting.
Buddy.
Hold on, I think it's Bluetooth's cutting out again. Tommy, you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. All right.
If we cannot get a 25 to 30 goal right winger, not left winger, not defenseman, no picks, I don't care about that. We keep Torrey Krug. We say, you know what? We're here. We're the defending Eastern Conference champions. We're coming at you.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, especially, like I said, so close. I mean, again, we talked about that Joachim Nordstrom almost goal on Binnington in the third period that could have changed the whole game, and even more so if it was 1-0. If you don't have Marchand make that bonehead play, you've got a 1-0 game in the Stanley Cup final.
Agreed.
Anything can happen, you know.
But that play is so unacceptable.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying he did it. He didn't do this. But if you said to me, Brad Marchand had money on the Blues, that's the decision he would make.
Yeah, yeah.
He obviously he didn't. But that's dumb. Yeah. That decision is like Marcus Johansson is the next winger coming off. Marchand goes to the bench and he's looking at him like, "What are you fucking doing?"
Yeah. And
like, I just don't get it. Like it's just, and I'm watching the game and I'm a diehard, and I take a lot of this personally, and I shouldn't. Buddy, I served in the military, and I look at these teams. I'm like, these are my guys. Like this stresses me out more than the military.
Yeah.
So and I'm not gonna lie to you. With 5 minutes left, I shut it off, and I went to bed.
Huh?
Because I couldn't handle the end of it.
I'm the same way with my teams. I don't have the heart for it sometimes, and it happened with the Blackhawks on a couple of their elimination games. It happened with the Bears in the Super Bowl with me. So, Tommy, tell me, what's the media and fan reaction to Marchand right now? Like, what are people thinking? Is this a guy that's on the chopping block right now?
Buddy, the fans up here, I'm very cynical. They're not like me. They call in the sports radio and they talk about all these things that don't matter. I haven't heard many people talking about Marchand negatively, except the sports radio host who I used to like just say, "Oh, you know what you're talking about now." I'm like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Are we related?" because I see this, but no, they don't do that because so many people are really uneducated. Brad Marchand was on the top of the bar with his shirt off after the loss. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it, but you know what? I don't get it.
Yeah.
This is 2011, buddy.
Right.
You're not hanging out with Tyler Sagan on Canal Street at Hurricane O'Reilly banging down Jaeger bombs. Like,
right.
You're 30 years old, like, and you just lost, and
you cost us the game.
You cost us the game, and I look at long term. He has cost us so many things. He has been suspended. So I had a friend of mine comment on my Facebook, "Oh, he's a 40-goal." He's not.
Yeah, he scored 40 goals before. He's not a 40-goal scorer. Yeah.
No, he has never scored 40 goals. He scored 36 goals this year.
Okay.
And last year he scored 39.
Oh, okay.
But he was suspended for the last 2 games of the regular season because he's a mental midget.
He likes to lick players and do other weird things. Yeah.
Right. And he had that whole thing with Cam Atkinson against the Blue Jackets, and I'm looking at this. Guys, I don't care. Like, drop the puck, play the game.
Yeah.
And if he's not going to do that, but here's the problem: you can't trade a guy like that because what are you going to get? First round picks? Well,
sure.
Don Sweeney, Executive of the Year, he picked Zaboros, DeBrusque, and Senchian in 13, 14, 15 overall. One of those guys is half decent. The other 2 are idiots. So you can't trade a guy for that.
Right.
My thing was last year, trade Krug straight up last year. He had 2 years left, 5 a year for Artemi Panarin. That was my thing last year. Would that have worked out how this worked out this year? Yeah, probably not. I probably would have been wrong. But you know what? That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You can't trade these guys, Marchand and all these other guys, because you'll get pennies on the dollar.
Right.
And Nick, you talked about this when it happened, and I think you said Jesse Ventura was the one who said it. if you've been to the top of the mountain before.
Oh, the wolf that's climbing the mountain is usually hungrier than the one that's already up there.
Like the Blackhawks have that in a nutshell, and so do the Bruins, because they've been there before and they've won it before. And that sense of Marchand, to me, man, that didn't look like a lapse of judgment or like, oh my God, I forgot. That looked like a guy who was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get off now. And then we talked about it after the goal was scored. A couple of the players on the ice looked back and were like, bitch, what happened? You know? So, yeah, dude, that, devastating. But again, I think the Bruins will be back, man. They've got the squad for it. And you talked about it, man. When you got a guy like Raskin between the pipes, he gives you a shot every year. And that's crucial.
So he does. And the Boston sports fans are just like, I talk to my friends, and I'm like, oh, you guys are great guys, but how can you be so uneducated?
Yeah.
This guy has, depending on the game, the second or third highest save percentage in the league, and you have all these, and they say, oh, well, Corey Snyder is fifth, and Ben Bishop is eighth, and I'm like, guys, stop. Like, it doesn't, it's not working. This postseason, he stole a bunch of games. In 2013, they lost. I get it, but they swept the Pittsburgh Penguins with Malkin, Crosby, all those guys.
Yeah.
He had a 967 save percentage.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Fame goalie, and like we have a window of 3 years right now to really try to do something. And if we can't do it in the next couple of years, well, we're probably going to be 6-7 years out after that.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, man, but as a Blackhawks fan, you feel the same way. You kind of look at this team and you go, man, are they going to be able to retool this thing and put this thing back together next year? And are we going to be able to be competitive? Now, again, having Kane and Taves and Keith and again this year, DeBrincat has broke out, which is great. But you do look at this team and you wonder, are they going to be able to put this thing together? Because if we don't start making the playoffs in the next couple of years, we're talking about that 5, 6, 7 year layoff after that, and that's not a good place to be, especially when you've got Taves and K's on max contracts for at least the next. I think it's still in the next 4 years.
Right.
So yeah, no, I definitely feel you on that one, man. The fire is lit under teams like Boston and some of these other teams that have the capability to put together a Stanley Cup team, but are on the cusp.
No, I agree, and you look at the Bruins. Are they on paper? Are they the best team in the Eastern Conference? No. Tampa Bay Lightning are really, really good, and they're going to be really good next year. And the Washington Capitals have Ovechkin and Carlson and guys that can put the puck in the net. Holtby is, a real class goalie, and this was our chance this year. So next year, who's the favorite in the Eastern Conference? It's the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah. Even after exiting the first round, yeah.
So right now I have my girlfriend staring at me in the driveway. so I'm going to have to call it a night. Nick, I just want you to know that Durant and Kyrie are not coming to the Knicks.
Hey, you know what? I'm okay.
You might be happy about that.
You know what? I'm not even going to sit here and lie. I'm at ease with it if it doesn't happen.
The Knicks
Kyrie.
Just need, Kyrie came out today in Boston. The weather, buddy. See you later. He's a generational player, but he's not a leader, and that's not what you want. Take Barrett, go after a couple guys in the next year or two. Let Kyrie go to Brooklyn. He's going to suffer there. Go to the Lakers. Blink is an idiot. They're going to falter, but he's not.
Did we lose him? Tommy's still there? I think we lost him.
Hey, man, Tommy, thank you so much for calling, man. That was awesome.
No, he's right, though. If it doesn't happen, I'm at ease. I'm not even tripping about it.
And he has a point, dude. Kyrie is not – listen, when Kyrie came out and said that stuff about – I understand what LeBron went through, and I apologize to him because, I didn't give him the credit that he was basically saying to you, I'm not a leader, guys.
Yeah.
I'm a guy I'm a really good player, but you're gonna need a guy to be the general. I'm the top guy, but I'm not a general of a team. Nick, I know you got a read to do here, but I want to switch gears to some baseball, talk some Yankees and White Sox, and then we'll wrap up with some MMA before we get out of here.
Are you moving, removing, or need space? Hodgepodge of Chicago has you covered. Home, business, office, industrial, retail, or construction sites, Hodgepodge does it all. On-demand storage, convenient pickup and delivery to or from your door within 48-hour notice. Junk removal, we'll move your junk and keep it out of the waste stream. Self-storage services, packing and unpacking, and much more. So if you're looking for moving and storage, choose Hodgepodge. Your unwanted items just don't end up in the landfill. They are donated to people who need them. So visit gohodgepodge.com. Again, that's go hodgepodge, HODGEPODGE.com.
My man, go ahead. Tell me about the Yankees.
And right now, the hottest team in baseball is in a pitching duel. All right, here's the thing that we have to talk about the hottest team in baseball.
Yes,
that
sir.
is the soon-to-be 2019 World Series champion New York Yankees. Now, problems. Hey, I don't know what Aaron Boone and the fellas said after they got their asses whooped on last Friday. But it has been a whole brand new ballgame.
Yeah.
The Yankees are on fire. They've now homered in 24 straight games going in today.
Wow.
Tanaka's pitching yet another gem. It's just unfortunately the Astros are pitching good gems as well. The question now becomes, what do the Yankees do at the trade deadline?
Yeah.
There was a report that came out that Brian Cashman said he would pay any price to get Max Scherzer out of Washington. The Nationals said not only do we not plan on trading Max Scherzer because we want him to retire and be in the Hall of Fame as a National.
Oh, wow.
But if we were to trade him, it isn't going to be cheap. You're talking to the wrong damn team.
Right.
Because first off, we're talking about Brian Cashman that's done multiple fleecing. The most recent fleece is them getting Edwin Encarnacion for one thing. So the Mariners suck so bad that they traded.
They didn't want to pay him, is what it was. Yeah.
They're barely paying him as is because apparently Tampa Bay and somebody else is paying him.
I was going to say, when they traded him, they only took on a portion of his contract. But
exactly,
great pickup by the Yankees. So we didn't talk about that last week. It happened, I think, the day after our show last week.
Yeah,
what a pickup, man! To get a guy with that much power from the right side, and now we're talking about Stanton coming back soon.
He's already back.
And
Judge came back yesterday. So this is what your lineup's going to look like.
Yeah.
LeMahieu, Judge, Voit, Sanchez, Stanton, Encarnacion,
my God,
Glaber,
my God,
Didi. It's murderous row.
Yeah.
So
the White Sox saw that the last two games of that series. Yeah. And
now we got to figure out this. And here's the funny thing. Everyone's like, well, we need pitching. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. But the Yankees have the fourth best ERA in the American League.
Yeah,
starting rotation-wise. So the question now becomes, yes, there's Yankee fans that are like, oh, we want Marcus Stroman. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, but he's a rental, right? He's going to be a 1-year rental, or do they have multiple years of control on him?
That
makes a difference too, because remember, the Cashman came out and said, "I'm not going to trade Clint Frazier for a rental. I will trade him, or he's on the table, but we're not trading him for a rental."
So basically, what they said was, Toronto, you're not getting Clint for Stroman. Washington, you can give me Clint for Max. And everyone's like, well, Max Scherzer's old. The man could possibly, he's 35 years old. Yeah. The man is still touching 98 with ease. The man broke his nose, still came out against the Phillies and struck out 10.
And one of the best high IQ pitchers of all time, this guy. This is a guy who I remember the White Sox facing when he was with Detroit.
Yeah.
And then reinvented himself in a year and a half and came back and was pitching like a Cy Young award caliber. So, man, the Yankees, dude, that lineup looks fucking scary, man. When the White Sox, the last two games.
Guys, I want to break in. We got another caller here. We got Will. He wants to talk about the NBA draft.
All right.
I'm going to connect you real quick. Hold on 1 second.
All right, for sure. Yo, Will.
What's good, B?
What's going on, brother?
What's up, Will?
Not much, man. Not much. It's just the home. I'm in the home of R.J. Barrett.
Yes, sir. I ain't gonna lie. I cheered. I was cheering yesterday when they drafted R.J. Barrett, especially with all the news that they were talking about maybe drafting Jared Culver, and then Darius Garland came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, do not mess this up. But it was a great pick for the Knicks.
That was the only thing that scared me. The Garland pick, that was the only thing that was scaring me. Other than that, I was like 90% sure they were going to go with RJ. But if they didn't, I was scared that they were going to go with Garland, which I think Garland's a talented player.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted.
If he wasn't hurt, and that's another thing, he got hurt early last year.
Yep.
And he only played, I want to say, like a handful of regular season games. 5 games. So that's a small sample size. And for him to still be in the top 5 consideration, that just goes to show if he had a full season last year, we might be talking about Ja and Garland a little bit differently.
True.
Absolutely. And then I still don't don't understand. You got Bo sitting in your hands. You traded a pick, 3 picks after Bo, and you don't make the Bo move? The guy has top 5 potential of all the guys in the draft.
Yeah.
And you don't even take a shot, a chance?
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. And I kept saying that I was like, okay, after he kind of fell past 42, I think.
Exactly.
I went on Facebook and was like, look, either like I'm like if he slides to 50, I think the Knicks were 55.
Yeah.
Okay, let's really look at Bo because they were saying, and they were saying it on Twitter and Facebook, that the Knicks actually wanted to trade back in the first round to get Bo. So I'm kind of with you on that. I'm like, okay, are we gonna make this deal? Is he really gonna fall this far? And if he does, are we gonna take him? And then they make the deal, but then they end up getting the kid from Michigan, who's not a bad player, but I would have preferred. I'm with you, Will. I would have preferred Bo over the kid we got,
especially in the second round.
Bezekias, I think his name is.
Yeah, and especially and the big thing with me, man, is once he fell out of and once. Go ahead.
You couldn't package a second-round pick,
right?
Yeah,
for sure.
And Ntilikina and get Bo. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I've read reports that the Knicks are having a real hard time trading Frank Ntilikina. So that means that they're either trying to get some high-end deal for him, like, oh, we want a first-rounder for him, or teams really just don't want Frank Ntilikina. And I feel so bad for Frank because the man's a talent, but at the same time, maybe he shouldn't have been drafted where he was.
And he's a one-dimensional player, Nick. You got to say it. He's a great defender, good frame, but on the offensive side of the ball, he's lost.
That's the great word to put it. He's lost. Like, he doesn't know when to shoot, and then when he shoots, it's a bad shot, and then when he's open, he can't hit him, or he'll go to the hole 3 times. It's the same frustration with Giannis. Giannis sometimes will hit 3 straight threes because he can't get to the hole, but then wants to go back into the hole.
Right.
In a sense, Frank Ntilikina can go to the hole 3 times, but then all of a sudden just stops and wants to try and shoot threes, and he's not hitting them. So I don't know what's going on with Frank, but it's very alarming that they can't get a deal done with him.
Nick, you know me. They could have. I thought it would have been a good pick to trade him to Golden State.
I thought they were going to take him. I thought they were going to take him late in the first round. I really did. I thought, man, they got the last pick in the first round. What a great pickup that would be for them.
I thought the Knicks could have went. Gave him Ntilikina, a good guy to come off the bench. You don't know if Sean Livingston's coming back next year. You don't know if you got Andre Iguodala coming back next year. So that's a good defensive, large, long, 2 or 1.
But he's like a
guard
6'9"
the bigger
wingspan.
players.
Guard
so
1, 2, 3.
I thought that would have been a great trade. They get Ntilikina. We get the extra first round pick. We go back. We get Bo, and call it a day. But I'm gonna say, and Nick, you know me already. Fuck Frank Ntilikina. Okay,
Yeah, dude,
stop it. Stop it.
hasn't
The
worked
kid
out.
is terrible.
That was
the
a
kid
bad
is terrible.
pick. That was a bad pick.
It was, and I think it was Phil Jackson looking at the triangle, thinking the 3-and-D guy fits in the
It's
triangle.
overthinking. We talked about it early in the
Yep.
show. Overthinking and thinking, well, instead of the safe pick, what if I went ahead and like Dennis Smith Jr. was available for that, right?
He was there.
There was a couple of guys available there where you're thinking you could have had this guy Dennis Smith Jr. develop by now.
Right,
But
right.
and I want to say one last thing about Bol because Shams Charania, who's my favorite NBA source, even through Woj, ended up saying that a lot of teams were obviously scared off with Bo's size, obviously scared off with his injury-prone nature, but they're also a little bit scared of his off-the-court attitude and on-the-court attitude, meaning he's not a guy who's going to hustle for you. Listen, dude, I don't fucking believe that, okay? This is a kid who grew up with Shaq's kids. Shaq said, you know what Shaq said? Shaq said he would build a team around Bo before he built it around Zion. Now, okay, I know Shaq is known to say some shit or two, but Bo can ball. And if you think that him putting on weight is not good enough for him to be a baller, then something's wrong. No, I don't believe these reports that are saying this guy was not an effort guy. Fuck that. This guy's 7'2", can handle the ball, shoot the ball like anybody else. This is a guy that should have went in the first round.
It's a joke, man. I mean, literally, like, this kid is so talented.
Yeah.
I mean, when do you see a 7'2", 7'3" guy with a 7'10" wingspan that can shoot the three, lights out, got the athletic ability that he has, and it's in the league? Oh, yeah, it's called Kristaps Porzingis, and we traded him.
Well, the problem with that is Kristaps Porzingis had no patience. If he would have had patience, for a guy, here's what my problem with KP was. I think something told me he didn't want to be in New York anymore. I think B, for a guy that wasn't playing last year, you should have known what the game plan was. So I don't think it was the Knicks were saying, we have to trade KP. KP went up to him and was like, I'm not coming back.
I'm not coming back. Yeah, well, you gonna let me walk for nothing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I hate to be this guy because I really like KP. I think KP's going to rue the day that he asked to get out of New York.
Is he better off in Dallas now than he would be in New York? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
I don't think
not.
so either. Nope. So if he would have just, and I've been telling Knicks fans, because Knicks fans like, well, what do we do now? We didn't get AD. We didn't get this. We're not doing this. KD's hurt, blah, blah, blah. Bruh, stay the course.
Yeah.
You have to stay the course. The Knicks, if you're a real Knicks fan, you know that this whole let's trade picks and young players for superstars hasn't necessarily worked in our favor. Meanwhile, on Green Street, Brooklyn has a bunch of guys who just played together for 2-3 years. We're the 6th best team in the East. You have to give it time. I know it sucks that we've sucked for so long, but you have to stay the course.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned the Knicks, Nick, or the Nets, rather. The Nets went from last year being the bottom dwellers in the East to now people are talking about them bringing in KD and Kyrie.
Yes.
And the Knicks have the opportunity to do that next year to show, hey, we can piece together some of these pieces. Yeah, we're not a finished product yet, but you know what? There's some free agents next year, too. They're not of the caliber they are this year, but, you talked about AD possibly being one. Listen, Ben Simmons is somebody that people are forgetting about. I know people think that Philly's going to lock him up, and that's going to be a guarantee. We don't know about that yet.
Yep.
There's a couple of guys out there that you're gonna be able to look at. So I agree with you, man. The Nets are a perfect example for the Knicks. All they have to do is string together a year and a half of good basketball, and you could be back in the conversation for KD healthy, for all of these guys.
The New York Yankees has just hit their 25th home run in 25 straight games because Gio Clutch Urshela just went flipping deep. The Yankees are the best team in baseball. And if baseball was smart, you would not let Brian Cashman fleece you on any starting pitching. Because if we get one star caliber pitcher with Severino coming back, you might as well just shut the whole baseball season down. Let's just forget about it. And while I'm still in anger mode, screw you, ABC, for showing the White Sox-Cubs game over Press Your Luck on freaking Wednesday. You suck. You have WGN, you have Fox, you have Comcast Sportsnet, and all the hype up of Press Your Luck. You showed White Sox versus Cubs. You should be ashamed of your damn self. Screw off.
I love
I
it.
got all excited to watch the show. I don't give a rat's monkey ass about the White Sox against the Chicago Cubs. Sorry, not sorry. Couldn't give a damn about either team. You know what I was about? Big bucks and whammies.
Hey, Will, thank you so much for the call, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Freaking clowns.
Hey,
Freaking
guys.
clowns. What dumbass was sitting in the front office thought that was a great idea?
Well, let's put on the baseball game instead
Like,
of
let me
something
think
we've
about
been
this.
hyping for
We've
weeks.
been hyping this up for weeks. But it's the Crosstown Classic. But we do have 3 other outlets.
Nah, we'll put them on.
we'll put
you
them
know,
on
and
anyway.
you know why? We talked about this before the show started, Nick. It's because the Cubs are greedy and the Ricketts are greedy.
Yeah,
they
idiots.
just they wanted to make
Idiots.
strike that deal with the ABC to put more money in their pocket, and yeah, well,
Oh, and this just popped in my head too. Let me tell you how delusional Cub fans are before we start going to wrapping up
yes,
this
please,
show.
I love it.
Okay. There was like, you know how you go on Facebook and they got like these tier lists?
Yeah,
There
right.
was a tier that had teams that are in contention of winning a World Series this year. And it was like Boston, and it was New York. Houston was up there. I don't think Cleveland, I think Cleveland was tier 2. But Milwaukee made it over the Cubs. And Cub fans were pissed. They're like, well, if we didn't have these injuries, we would. You scored 2 runs in 2 elimination games.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee Brewers went to Game 7 of the NLCS.
Yeah.
So let's not play the what if. How about we play the what happened?
Right.
I saw a Cubs team try to swing for home run, for home run, for home run.
Terrible
and
fundamentals, yeah.
You got beat by the same Milwaukee team. You swear up and down you are not better than.
Yeah.
And they got beat by Colorado. I swear to God, the Cubs won 1 World Series, and the majority of their
I
fans
swear,
have become
you
idiots.
would think that they had 5 by now by the
Oh
way
my
that they
God,
talk about their
right.
team as if they're like this unbeatable force. I mean, listen, Nick, no better example of that than just the Crosstown Classic a couple days ago, 2 games. The first game, the White Sox take, and I swear to God, dude, I would be honest with you if this weren't the case. I didn't see one White Sox fan go, fuck the Cubs, yeah, we're the better team. Nobody does that because everybody knows it's a 162-game season.
Right.
We're still trying to win. And what happens? The Cubs win game 2, and all you hear from Cubs fans is, see, White Sox fans, we're not so bad. We're the best. Yo, bro, we are. You're like trying to talk down to little brother as if like, pick on someone your own size. You think you're better than Milwaukee?
And let me say this. You know who those Cub fans are? Mets fans. All Mets
What a
fans.
dumpster fire the Mets are right
If you
now.
took 100% of the Mets fan base, 4.7% are smart. The other 95.3% are all idiots. They are all flipping morons.
Yeah.
Because it's all of a sudden this is how much it's bad to be a Mets fan.
Yeah.
You're already out of the season by May.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden they got their Red Sox jerseys out, their Astros jerseys out.
The Yankees jerseys out.
No, they don't have Yankee jerseys.
No, you don't let them in?
Because they're only rooting for – Met fans can't stand Yankee fans. And they'll root for the 2 teams that have the greatest shot of beating the Yankees.
Of beating the Yankees,
And I'm
what
going
you're saying.
to tell you this right now. There's a great chance the way this stuff is going that there's going to be some sorely disappointment because Met fans put their chest out back in April. Oh, y'all got swept by the Houston Astros. Told you y'all suck, blah, blah, blah.
It took half the team going to the DL for them to gain the courage to say that to you guys.
Haven't heard a peep from them stupid asses while we're out here sweeping Houston at the right time.
Can I tell you how dumb the Mets are right now, Nick? I read an article over the week. The Mets have disappointed on all fronts this year. Mm-hmm. The front office went out and made some boneheaded moves, brought in more salary, and brought in a guy, Edwin Diaz, as well as Robinson Cano from that trade force from Seattle.
Right.
They go out and bring in a couple of guys, and they have a really good first month. Pete Alonso, breaks
just
out,
killing it right now.
Just killing it. And this is a year removed from DeGrom winning the Cy Young.
Yep.
And
Syndergaard's already said that he's not re-signing. He's testing free agency.
And they said, okay, well they've got a deep pitching. As far as their prospects are concerned, they've got a couple guys. So what do they go ahead and do? Instead of firing Mickey Callaway, who has no business being in that job,
I couldn't agree more.
They fire their pitching coach,
Dave Island.
Who got the Yankees to the World Series, got the Royals to the World Series, and took both of those staffs were overachieving by the time he got to them, and all of a sudden you looked at them and went, "Wow!" I mean, the Royals bullpen in 15 when they were literally, it was Herrera and all of a sudden. They, instead of firing the guy who deserves to be fired and who's the reason why they're a dumpster fire, they fire the guy that's closest to their best players. DeGrom comes out and says he's the reason why I am the player I am today. And you've got guys like Syndergaard coming out and saying, yeah, it sucks, but what are we going to do? Yada, yada, yada. Then they go out and they hire an 86-year-old replacement.
Yep.
86 years old. I'm sorry, I know I just peaked the mics, but 86 years old, this guy is coming in to be a pitching coach. What are you thinking? And you know what they did, Nick? They said, we're going to replace 2 guys with 3, and they brought in some analytical guy.
Yeah.
And
because they fired the hitting coach,
They fired the hitting coach as well. Yeah. And then what they went ahead and did was they brought on a 3rd guy to because the reason why they were pissed off at Island was because he wasn't melding metrics with his approach.
Right.
And you've got a guy sitting there going, I have 2 fucking rings. And I'm one of the big reasons why both of those teams got rings. And you're going to come in here and tell me that I need to incorporate metrics into the Mets deserve to be moved. That franchise, Mickey Callaway, they're saying he's safe for the season now.
Yeah, they were saying that. And I read something that Mets fans want the Mets to hire Joe Girardi. And once again, the Wilpons are such idiots. I've said this time and time again. You have to put your ego down at some point.
Yeah.
You have to. You cannot keep sitting here and neglecting your team. Last year, the DeGrom and Syndergaard and Matz, though some variation of those 3 guys should not be on the same team right now. I've said it before. The A's once upon a time broke up Zito, Mulder, and Hudson. The Atlanta Braves once upon a time broke up Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. Mm-hmm. The Mets need to get rid of, needed to.
Syndergaard for sure.
Should have been the prime piece if you really was going to keep DeGrom. Mm-hmm. And what better team needed pitching than your brothers across the damn street who have a farm system plethora of talent, and you won't trade them there because it's the Yankees.
Yeah.
As much as Sox fans and Cub fans can't stand one another, they know that if the Cubs are saying we need a starter, and the White Sox are saying we need young talent, and the Cubs say, well, our outfield is deep, and the White Sox said we'll take an outfielder, then they can trade Jose Quintana for Eloy Jimenez any day of the week.
And Dylan Cease,
And nobody's going to blink an eye. Meanwhile, on Green Street, The Yankees can trade Estevan Florial and maybe a future starting pitcher.
Yeah.
You give us Syndergaard, and it'll be. But God forbid if the Mets do anything to help the Yankees, so they will watch their franchise go to complete utter shit the day before they make a trade to the Yankees. It is tomfoolery.
Yeah.
And even Mets fans, even the stupid idiot ones, even know that at some point you had to trade these three. And the prime time to do it was last year, and they sat on their hands because the Wilpons swear up and down that they think that they're contenders.
Yeah.
They are one of the most delusional franchises in baseball, and I don't understand how they aren't up there talking to the Montreal Expos other than the Rays.
And can I clown the Rays a little bit? I know you saw the news.
I saw the news
about this.
The relocation.
I don't know whose idea this is. I don't know,
But it's smart.
Listen, Nick, I've heard a couple people say this, and I think, listen, we're me and you are classic baseball fans. We've been watching for a long time. We know that the Expos in Montreal deserve a team.
Right.
I think that's clear. One thing that I don't think is smart is this proposed deal.
The duel?
The duel, having you play one team playing 41 home games in each stadium. That's dumb. Give Montreal a team and move the Rays out of St. Petersburg. If you want a team in Tampa Bay, take them to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and they don't play in
They
Tampa.
don't play in Tampa Bay. They play in St. Petersburg, and everybody complains about it. Every year, there's thousands of Rays fans who put together petitions to this team because, first of all, that stadium is a dump.
Garbage.
And it's
Garbage.
it looks like it was a former prison or something along those lines.
It is almost in the same crappy position as what people thought that Olympic Stadium was when the Montreal Expos moved out of there.
And I hear a lot of people talking shit about Montreal, saying they couldn't support a team. Listen, if you weren't paying attention during that time, you would know that Montreal didn't move because they weren't getting support. They moved because they had stadium problems.
Yep.
And the
Big-time
owners were not. They wanted the city of Montreal to contribute to the new stadium, and good for the city of Montreal. They said no, we got better things to spend money on.
Right.
And the guy, and I want to say that the MLB did the right thing by taking control of the team, because the Nationals have done a pretty damn good job, I think, of supporting their team and whatever it may be. Listen, guys, we've got space here, man. Let's cut the bullshit. We've got a ton of opportunities here for baseball to expand their reach, and I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility for this league to add another team or two.
Yep.
Let's just do it, man.
Yep.
Let's give Montreal a team. You know what? I know that there's a couple proposed ones right now. I know Portland is thinking about trying to get a team that's just more of a PR. That'd be cool. But we're talking about states like for example, Charlotte. Like Charlotte can take a team. They support that baseball team really well.
Yep.
There's a couple states in the South that could use them. Listen, Mexico isn't far away from fielding serious offers about an expansion team. I know a lot of people worry about the travel with them, but listen, if you can travel to Toronto, you can travel to Mexico City. You can travel to some of these distances that you would have to travel for Mexico. So don't give me that. But MLB, let's step out of the comfort zone. You're losing the attention span of some of these fans. Right now the teams are making more money than ever, and yet we're seeing less fan engagement and less, because we talked about it. It's so expensive to go to games. You've sort of got this 162 game model where your team is going to be in town 81 games a year. Yep. Dude, in my mind, that whole thing with the Rays is like the easiest solution to that is give Montreal their team and move the Rays out of St. Petersburg. Yeah. Simple as that.
Tommy said, thank you for letting him call in. He says he's going to call in a lot. Dude,
Thank you, Tommy. That was great.
I'm almost praying that the Red Sox somehow keep sucking, because every time they lose, this man goes off on his Facebook about the Cora plan. Yeah. It is hysterical.
Yeah.
It's hysterical. And I understand his frustration, because if it's not broke, then I mean,
Why fix it?
Why
Yeah.
fix it? Like,
Listen, dude, they made a big stink about Kimbrel and like not wanting to bring him back.
yeah,
And I get it. You got to sign Benintendi long term.
Yep.
You got to sign Betts long term.
Yep.
I know.
I think Xander Bogaerts is
Xander
coming
Bogaerts.
soon,
So
yep.
Xander Bogaerts. You got to think about it like this. Chris Sale is going to be looking to get paid after this deal because he took a pretty team friendly deal with the White Sox, and that's why the Red
I
Sox.
thought they already re-upped.
Did they re-up with him? Okay,
re-upped
so
him this
so
year.
listen, man. The Red Sox have a lot of decisions to make on the team. They could have afforded Kimbrel.
Yep.
Like let's be honest with each other here, man. This whole thing about this free agency. I think everybody with half a brain who's watched sports before knows that the free agency with MLB was due to collusion by the teams.
Right.
Basically saying we don't want anybody to spend on these guys.
Right.
Because that sets a bad precedent for all of us. So we're all just going to screw these guys over. And that's why this year's free agency was by far the most pathetic of all time when it came to baseball. You had teams that were you had to pull teams' teeth to sign Manny Machado and to sign Bryce Harper. So I understand where the Red Sox are coming from, but this whole idea that they couldn't afford Kimbrel or that they couldn't afford to bring in bullpen help, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no salary cap.
Complete crap.
Go out and buy it, and you know you've got the money. You're a team that's won the World Series like multiple times in the last couple of years. You know, get over it. Go buy it. Go buy yourself a closer. And that's been one of their big issues is the
Yep.
bullpen, man. So
Yep. Yeah, dude, the freaking Mets. Yeah, dude, every time they lose, I laugh. But then every time the Yankees, y'all. Hey, it's I can't hear you from the top.
Yeah, right,
You're gonna have to
seriously.
speak a little louder
I-
with
I-
your pathetic ass team.
Nick, I seriously can't get over them hiring a guy out of
He was
a
like
frickin-
82 or
he's
86, something like that, yeah.
He's in his. I don't even care if he's 80 even. This is not a guy. This is a guy that was born before any of your players. Listen, none of your players are even born when this guy was playing and coaching last. This is not a good move. Like the team. Like, why would it make sense for you to bring in Callaway, this young guy who doesn't have any experience, real legitimate experience, and then turn around and say we're gonna fire a 2-time World Series winner who is one of the most instrumental pitching coaches in all of baseball because our team sucks and our front office sucks.
That's the problem. They don't want to admit the front office sucks because they're like, oh, Dave Island's is genius. Maybe he can fix Jury's Familia.
Yeah.
God himself couldn't fix Jury's
Familia.
He's garbage.
Yeah.
Why would you bring him? You got rid of him for a reason last
Yeah.
year. You traded him to Oakland for a reason.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
Oakland
brought
didn't want him
back.
afterwards. They're
Right.
like, you know what? We're good on him. Yeah.
Like, don't worry. We feel like you did the right job. We got Dave.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
We got Dave back, so
we
don't-
found him somewhere.
We
yeah.
found him somewhere, so don't worry about
And
it.
you know what's even more fucked up is they traded for Edwin Diaz, and Diaz has been terrible. Their bullpen has been atrocious.
Yeah.
And that's with Nick. We're talking about this is a team with DeGrom, Syndergaard, Matz, Wheeler. And just imagine if they didn't have those guys. And just imagine if Pete Alonso wasn't playing out of his mind right now. We might be talking about the worst team in baseball right now.
Easily.
So listen, Mets fans, please get yourself together here. Listen, man, the Mets, and I don't want to say this, but the Mets have the Cubs written all over them when it comes to personnel. If you remember the Soriano Cubs.
Oh.
And the way that this team every single year came up short, and yet the excuse in the offseason was, well, we're just 1 or 2 pieces away. And then they would get 1 or 2 pieces, and then they would fail again. And then 1 or 2 pieces, and then fail again. And it took them hiring Theo Epstein for him to say, stop this. Trade all the guys who have value, build this from the ground up, and what did he end up doing?
Winning a World
Series.
And,
So,
but you know what? They have the to blame for that. The White Sox.
The White Sox, yeah.
Because the White Sox caught lightning in the bottle
Yeah.
when they traded for Alomar and Carl Everett
That's true.
and
That's
made
true.
that amazing run.
Yeah.
You know, with middle-aged guys, Paulie Walnuts,
Yeah.
Scott Pasednik,
Carl
Carl Everett,
And that
Roberto
pitching staff of
Earlman.
just a bunch of traveling men.
You
Yeah.
feel what I'm saying. Jose Contreras,
Yeah.
El
Duque,
Duque,
yeah. John Garland. Bart
Bart
Burley. Come on.
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God, these
Yeah.
are just journeyman guys, but they made a run there, and the Cubs were like, "Well, we can do that too."
Right.
So I'm gonna give you a bunch of money to bring in Alfonso Soriano,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna bring a bunch of money in to bring in, another high-priced free
Right.
agent. And you're right, it didn't work till Theo came in, but that's the White Sox fault. But then somewhere someone had to kick Kenny Williams in his ass and say to do this and do the same thing.
It took Rick Hahn coming in and him getting promoted into GM for him to tell Kenny,
Right,
hey, Kenny,
promoted to GM, right.
Kenny, take the back seat, buddy. We got this from here.
this.
We appreciate 05. Thank you so much for all you did. Because let's give credit where credit's due. Kenny was the instrumental part of that 05 series.
Yep.
And bringing in the guys that he did and taking the chance on El Duque and taking the chance on Contreras, taking the chance on Podsednik at the time when Podsednik was a tweener and guys didn't want him. So I totally understand that. But Nick, you know this. And listen, dude, the Yankees did what we're talking about. Now, the only difference why we're not talking about the Yankees in the same way is because they came out and overachieved right away. And you looked at them and went, wow, this team is winning right now, and that's crazy. And then all of a sudden you think, oh my God, here comes this Judge guy. And oh my God, they traded for Stanton now. So this is the type of path that teams are taking now. And I'm seeing it firsthand with the White Sox, Nick. I can't be any happier right now with the White Sox.
Oh,
listen,
easily.
the team is not a contender yet. They're not in a position where they should be winning these ball games yet, and they're winning these ball games
easily.
They're winning. They're winning against the Yankees.
And Lucas Giolito's out there looking like a Cy Young right now.
Cy Young winner.
And
Tim Anderson's looking like a future All-Star,
perennial All-Star, perennial MVP.
Yeah, it's and again, this took 3 years of painful baseball. And that's why you've got these meathead fans, which Chicago, New York, and LA will always have these meatheads.
Yeah,
always have these meatheads.
When you're talking about the 1, 2, and 3 respective.
Yeah, Chicago. I would say New York is up there only because New York takes their sports way more seriously than Chicago does.
Yeah, that's what
if Chicago's teams suck, we just kind of move on with our lives.
Yep.
New York, they take it so seriously.
Yeah.
They're just so near and dear to them.
Yeah.
And Chicago's the same way. So that's why you've got some of these meatheads saying, trade Abreu, fire Renteria. Hey, he's messing with the lineups. Yo, guys, we've been winning ball games. We're playing 500 baseball. We're 3 games out of the wild card. This is a team that shouldn't be here right now.
And that's the shock part.
Yeah.
We're playing 500 baseball because anybody would have been like, if the White Sox win 55 games,
they have
it's
no
a miracle.
business being one game under 500 right now.
Exactly.
Come on. They have no business beating the Astros in Houston. No business beating New York in New York. No business beating Texas yesterday late in the game in extra innings winning on the road. These are teams these are games that young teams should not be winning.
And here's another thing, too, because I guess I'm gonna say it, even though it worked in the Cubs' favor, but I feel like Renteria didn't get enough time.
He didn't,
with the
no.
Cubs because the Cubs had to make that splash move.
He was a
Joe
bridge
Madden.
guy. He was a bridge guy to Madden.
Right.
They knew all along he was going to bridge them to Madden.
Right.
Yeah.
So as soon as Madden came out, it was like, all right, thank you for your time. And then obviously Madden came out and won the World Series.
Yeah.
Ricky Renteria is a good manager.
Listen, man, I'm in that boat too.
And the thing with Ricky is that a lot of people try to poo-poo is the fact that he's fluent in Spanish.
Nobody remembers that. Yeah.
Sweet Mamacita, Jose Abreu Spanish, Eloy Spanish,
Moncada
Spanish. I'm talking about these are off the ball homies that I know
Reynaldo
don't speak
Lopez, Spanish. Listen, man.
all these guys speaking Spanish, and so now you can bring in a manager that can come in and talk to these guys in their native tongue, so they feel comfortable.
Right? Yeah.
Come on, man.
And you got young guys that are from Cuba that are coming up in the system too,
Right,
and
right.
young guys that are coming up in the system that could be comfortable with him. Listen, man. I did read something on Deadspin, and Deadspin is not necessarily a source that I would ever source
Right.
in a paper or otherwise.
Right.
But Deadspin, I know that they did say that they had heard some things that the White Sox were trying to look at Joe Girardi in a serious manner and possibly make an offer to him to possibly come on next year. Listen, dude. and I know that we talked about this in earlier episodes. I'm not so sure I'm ready to let go of Rick Renteria right now.
And I'd be against that move.
Yeah,
I'd be against that move.
It makes zero. And I know that.
No
listen,
diss to Joe.
No, I love Joe. And listen, I was excited to see that. But first of all, I don't necessarily believe that because it comes from Deadspin.
Right.
But second of all, what Rick has done here is special, guys. To the ability to get this team. What people don't realize about the White Sox is they have fun.
Yep.
They like to go out and play baseball.
Yep.
And it's made things funner at the ballpark. It's made the fans show up. People, listen, Cubs fans, y'all love to say, oh, there's 5 guys at the White Sox game again. You guys haven't been mentioned in the last 10 home games where they've had 20K plus.
The Yankees games were all packed.
And I'll say this. I used to work for the White Sox. All Yankee games are packed.
Yeah.
I will say that Yankee fans travel well. Baseball fans want to see the Yankees. I will say that. But I'll tell you who we were also sold out for, the Royals. We had 20 plus K. So the last time we had that was fucking 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep.
So listen, man, I was a part of the White Sox organization, not a part of the White Sox. I was working at the ballpark when the first 2 months of the season, the White Sox were in first place.
Right.
And you had this feeling and this buzz around the ballpark. And then they went on one skid and it never sort of came back to that thing again.
Right.
And the White Sox have just been so consistent, winning 2, losing 1, winning 3, losing 2, winning 5, losing 2. And they're just slowly, incrementally getting themselves up there.
And then somewhere they'll have a nice little losing streak, but then Lucas comes up and then brings it back, right? It's a stopgap.
To have a pitcher that is going to probably start the All-Star game, has won so many games, and I'll give the Cubs credit. They did beat him up in his last start, but I think that had to do with a little bit of nerves as well. So, Nick, we are really getting close to here, 2.5 hours, my man. Is there anything else that you wanted to wrap up with?
Hold on a second. Let me take a look at this score. Okay, so Yankees are up 4-2.
Awesome.
They're up 4-2.
Hey guys, let me say this really quick before we do sign out. Shout out to our sponsors again here, guys. We're talking about Hodgepodge, Boss to Boss, Intrinsic Marketing, and Knucks 3-in-1 Refresher Spray. Shout out to Knucks, guys. We're super excited to work with you guys, so thank you so much for the opportunity.
Shout out to me getting this new phone. If you haven't saw my
no more crack screen.
No more crack screen. I got this young.
That thing's fire too. That screen looks fire.
Bruh, I got this handsome guy on my phone. You may or may not have seen him. You may or may not have seen him. Oh, and by the way, there's a good chance that at some point within the next week, I'm going to go bald, bro. I think it's time
you should, man.
to let it go.
Yeah.
I got this LeBron James hairline. If you're on my Snapchat,
I've seen you bald. You look good bald.
Yeah,
man.
so I'm just going to shave. I'm talking about razor to dome. I'm going to keep the beard,
Keep
though.
the beard, for sure.
I'm going to go full bald. So we're going to let it go. So pics and stuff later. It probably won't happen until I'm going to try and make it happen.
Yeah.
Before the Bear Cave on Tuesday.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, next week, what are you thinking next week? I want to give them a little bit of a preview of what we want to talk. Are we going to start some NFL stuff next week? Or is that too soon?
Does next week? Oh, no.
Because next week is going to be July, basically.
Next week is June. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's right.
It's going to be like
next something.
Yeah. The show after next show would be basically first week of July.
Then maybe the show after next is probably
okay.
We'll start getting on the
okay.
football
So yeah,
game.
well, because guys, we listen,
training camp's coming up.
We
so
are
training
both
camp segment's
football.
coming up
We are both football
Yes.
fanatics.
Yes.
I'm a fantasy football
Yes.
fanatic.
Yes,
There's
me
going to
too.
be so much to talk about with
Yes.
football, guys. There's going to be more baseball intriguing stuff next week. I will venture to say that we're going to be talking some basketball as well because we're going to start to see some free. I know the official free agency is like July 1st, but we're going to start to see a lot of movement and a lot of stuff going on. So guys, please make sure you're tuning in every Saturday, guys.
Every Saturday.
Rain, sleet,
Local
or snow.
podcasts do it better.
No, and guys, let me tell you, you guys are not going to get this type of stuff on ESPN.
Hell no.
You're not going to get this on FS1.
Hell no.
You're not going to get this type of raw.
We're not
real shit.
we're not the show that just bangs LeBron into the dirt.
I mean, we didn't even talk about Zion today. How many shows would have spent 45 minutes on Zion? How he smiled and he cried.
Dude, we talked more hockey in this show than the other two shows. Have no idea who's in the hockey draft. We did.
Yeah.
So what more do you want?
I'm telling
You guys have time for one more call?
Yeah, go right ahead. If we got one more call, let's yeah, we still got like 5 minutes left here, so let's take this call, Steve.
Okay, let me go ahead and put him through. Just give me 1 second.
All right.
Alrighty. And again, that phone number, guys, 312-869-4117. You will see it on the top right hand of your screen above my man Nick right now. But again, thank you so much. Yeah, we got him in, Steve. And the White Sox just started against the Rangers. I'm really hoping the White Sox win tonight. We'd be back to 500, and if we win tomorrow, it'd be the first time we've been above 500 in almost 4 years.
Hey, man. It's good things to come.
Yeah, man.
You got to take the small battles. That's
Absolutely.
a great
Absolutely.
small battle to win.
Yeah. That's why I'm really trying to get these people to buy in to this. And I said it. I do it in Spanish because I like it in Spanish. It's confía en el proceso. Trust the
process, baby.
You know? And we got to have our own version of trust the process, man.
All right, who we got on?
We are going to have Mike from Florida, and he's going to be coming on.
Don't tell me that's Mike Saylor.
No, it's not. I don't think it is.
It is
I think
my
I know.
man. I'm telling you, it's my man Mike Saylor. I'm telling you, it's my man Mike Saylor.
I think I know who this is. I think I know who this is.
Hey, what up?
Yo, what's up, Mike? I know who this is.
Hey, what's up, gentlemen?
What's going on, Mike?
What up?
Hey, man, I heard you say something about Iggy from Michigan. He's going to be a good player in the NBA. You guys got to steal for the second round. Just because I heard you mention him just a couple minutes ago. I think that's a solid pick. You know, in the second round, he's worth the risk as a late second rounder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And he's definitely a tough kid, and the Knicks could use a little toughness. So I thought it was a good pick. I still wanted Bol, but it was still a good pick.
He was good for them in the tournament, like Bruce Ellis was.
Yeah,
he was great. Are you a Michigan fan?
Oh, die hard,
I'm
bro.
definitely a Michigan fan. Nick already knows that, man.
Michigan, Michigan football,
like
Detroit.
Yeah, all the crappy teams right now. But I don't know, dude. I think the Knicks would have been better off. I think the guy that got picked second at Memphis is going to be better than R.J. Barrett. I think it's too bad. You know, I think he's going to be a better player. What do you guys think?
Ja Morant is going to be good. I don't know. I think there's something special. I'm not saying there's nothing special with Zion in New Orleans. I'm not saying there's nothing special about Ja in Memphis. But there's a special connection, I think, between R.J. Barrett and
the Knicks.
The Knicks. Because let me tell you why. If you would have looked at the draft lottery, you know in your heart of hearts that Zion Williamson would have wished that New York would have got the first pick. You would have known in your heart of hearts that maybe Ja Morant thinking, damn, I would love New York too.
Yeah, he would have loved it if they made the second pick because Ja would have been like, shit, I'd love to be in New York.
But what ended up happening is a kid that's been a New York fan his entire life, who's been begging the Knicks to draft him, is playing for the team he wanted to. And I also read something that they think that R.J. Barrett to Zion Williamson is going to more or less be Dwayne Wade to LeBron James. That when they become restricted free agents, if the Knicks are coming up and winning games and doing what they're supposed to be doing,
Zion may come,
RJ's going to be like, hey, yo, Zion, man, come up with me to New York and let's talk.
Fuck New Orleans.
That's what I read. Now, I'm not putting anything to it. That's another 3-4 years down the road. But I would not be shocked.
I will say this, Mike. I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say that Ja has more potential than RJ does, because I'll tell you this.
Exactly.
I think we've seen RJ's close to his best, and I don't think we've seen Ja's best quite yet. So I would venture to agree with you on that. But overall, I think the ceiling for Morant is high. But we've said this 1,000 times in this show. It seems like Barrett's basement is so much higher. I think Ja has a potential to maybe be, because again, people keep calling Ja Morant Russell Westbrook already. Listen, guys, Russell Westbrook wasn't Russell Westbrook when he came into the league. That is
true.
It took some time for Russell to become Russell. So I'm actually happy Memphis traded Conley. That'll give Morant a little bit more time to get a little bit more. So I think you have a chance at getting at something here, Mike.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You're right. He is a New York kid. I think the Knicks, he can grow with the Knicks. The Knicks are a couple years away. But I would look for if RJ Barrett works out, I'd say the Knicks are going to be contenders in about 4 or 5 years, give or take, if all their draft picks
Stay the course.
I think they're going to be a good team.
Honestly, man, listen, I keep hearing people being conservative about the Knicks. Listen, man, there's a reason why Washington almost paid Masai Ujiri $10 million a year to run their organization.
Yep.
You know why? Because the East is wide open right now.
It
even
sure
with
is.
Toronto possibly bringing back Kawhi. Listen, man, that Toronto team was a fairy tale type of season.
Yeah.
The season that they had, they may lose Danny Green. They might even lose Kawhi still. So teams right now in the East have like their ears perked up a little bit more and thinking, dude, we can make the 8 or 7 seed next year. And I think the Knicks have to be one of those teams. That's why I'm like, you know what, man? If they go out and decide to bring in people other than Kevin Durant, I wouldn't be mad at them.
And on top of that, let me say this, because the same thing you said about Rick Renteria is what David Fizdale is going to have to do with these young Knicks. Let them go out there and have fun.
Have fun,
Just
right.
have fun at the game. No one's expecting us to be good. No one's saying we have to come out here and win 50 games. Go out there, have fun, talk with one another, be each other's brother out there
And
on
learn
the
how to
court.
win, yeah.
And I think it could happen. We have to see, because I think Kevin Knox is the guy that I have my eye on, because I think this dude has. I'm not calling him. What's his name? Giannis. I'm not even trying to.
But he's got the frame.
But there's the frame, and he has some similarities to his game that makes me think that these guys are kind of mirror images almost of each other.
Well, look, my last question, not to switch gears, but what makes everyone think Zion Williamson is going to be so great? They're already crowning him like a Hall of Famer type thing to me. And, I know LeBron got that hype. That's the last guy I remember getting this kind of hype. What makes everyone so for sure he's going to be this great player? He had he was hurt a lot in college. Who says he's not going to be injury prone? He's going to be a bust, That's my take. You guys have a good night.
All right, you too, Mike. Thanks for calling in, bro.
Mike. Appreciate it.
I think with Zion, I think that's because we haven't seen a freak like Zion since LeBron.
Yeah, and listen, man.
Come on, think of some of the number ones we had. Anthony Bennett.
We're also talking about a top 3 in previous years that has been pitiful. I think I saw the 2015 top 10, and I think 4 of them have already been traded.
Yes.
So I'll say this about Zion. Zion's package has not come in a college player since, and you can't even count LeBron in there.
Nope.
So really, I would even venture to go back to say, and somebody that I think you might have even made the comparison to, but Larry Johnson. But Zion, to me, man, what he represents is the new age of basketball, which is freak athletics and learning the game. We remember when Anthony Davis was selected first overall, and this skinny, bony, basically just skin and bones kid, barely even old enough to have a mustache, walked on stage, and people looked at him and went, that guy has the possibility to do it. And I think people are looking at Zion in the same way, because, my God, look at his frame already. Look at what we already know about him, and fuck the unknown.
Yeah.
He can get in the gym this summer and learn to shoot. He can get in the gym this summer and if we need him to get better with his lateral quickness. I know that's something that some people are saying, his lateral quickness in the NBA is going to translate a little bit differently than it did in college basketball. Absolutely. But this guy's still going to be an athletic beast. He's going to be posterizing people game one, and he's going to come in and be a guy who can play 4 or 5 in the type of scheme that we're talking about is prevalent in the NBA right now, which is going small, going fast, going athletic, and just getting a guy who can basically do that with you. And they drafted Jackson Hayes. I think there's a 0% chance Zion is a bust. Is there a chance that he will be less than what we thought? Yeah, absolutely. But as a bust, no. It would take him having multiple consecutive year-ending injuries for that to happen. Because we talked about it in the first show that we did, Nick. I said, is he going to be able to keep those bunny hops his whole career? No. But does he have a good 5 years of that? Yeah. and then we're going to have to see what type of player he is.
Yep.
Does he adjust? Is he going to get a jump shot? Is he going to get a consistent free throw shot? Is he going to be able to get to the basket like he did in college? These are all questions that have to be answered, but I think there's a 0% chance of him being a bust. I think he's just too damn good for that. And New Orleans, man, they made out like bandits this offseason. They're going to be a hell of a team to play on 2K20 with next year. So, Nick, my man, another one in the books.
Always.
Another banger. So appreciate everybody for the calls, guys. Again, that phone number 312-869-4117. Keep that in your. Go ahead and save us in your contacts and make a maybe set yourself a little calendar invite every Saturday to know what Mack and Black is on. It's time to clear my schedule.
Facts.
Time to maybe what, guys, put us in your headphones. Go for a run.
Facts.
Throw on Facebook. Throw on the Facebook feed and go cook yourself a meal or something like that.
And don't forget, Bear Cave this Tuesday. I will be making a Facebook page of the Bear Cave.
Please.
So.
And Nick, I want to call into the Bear Cave. I want to be able to do a non-sports related thing with you.
Yes.
That's really important to me because
I
love the Bear Cave last week, man. One of my favorite ones you've ever done.
I was very happy.
You were
with that
super,
show
and not only that, man. The show is just so damn good because we get to escape sports for a little while. And I like that. I like that about it.
This one dude, Mark, comes in. Oh, let's talk about Anthony Davis.
I said
Why
that.
it's already been freaking.
Go watch Mack and listen, guys. Listen, and I'm gonna say this to the Bear Cave followers, guys. I know that a lot of you have come over here to the Mack and Black show through the Bear Cave. Thank you so much for doing that. But this is a different show, guys.
Yeah.
If you want your sports fix, you're gonna need to tune in every Saturday and check this out because the Bear Cave is doing something special right now, and you want homie over here with his artistic freedom. Believe me.
And let's not get the game twisted. I mean, I'm not saying that I won't talk.
No, we will. He will. Yeah.
I got a lot of other things on my mind.
Yeah.
Like why Snapchat texting is so damn stupid.
I know. Yeah, you can't kick game on Snapchat like you used to be able to.
No.
Man. Yeah.
No. I'm just sitting up here struggling. I don't remember I barely remember what I said 5 minutes ago in this damn show.
I'll tell you a little trick I used to use.
Snapchat.
This is what I used to. This is my Snapchat game, Nick, and this is so vulnerable. And I hope nobody else is watching except us right now.
Right.
But this was my Snapchat game for the longest time. I would, you kind of hit up the shorty. Hey, how's it going? Da da da. You kind of go back and forth because you know how it is. You almost have to stay in the chat to be able to have a conversation, right? So, you stay in the chat for a little while, and then, you know what? You missed out on the chat, and then she texts you back, but you don't hit her up for like 2 hours, right? Then you hit her, and you go, you know what? I'm so sorry. I actually missed. Can I get your number? Let me get your number. Let's just do the. And I swear, it's convenience-wise. That's how I used to, be able to holler at girls because, Snapchat. You use whatever resource you can.
True.
You're like MacGyver, right? If you're stuck on the island, you take the paper clip and you take the freaking the shoelace and you make a bomb out of it, right? So that's what you got to do with Snapchat. So sometimes you got to leave her on red for like an hour or two. Oh shit, I totally forgot. You know what? We're having such a good conversation. Hit me up with your number. Let's let's take this thing to the next level. So, guys, if you're hitting Nick up on Snapchat, give him your phone number, please. Please give him your phone number, guys.
Because I'm old and I don't remember half the stuff.
I barely remember what I say in text messages. Sometimes I have to go back and text like, what the fuck are we talking about right now?
You.
So, listen, guys.
Thank you.
Again, another one in the books. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Nick. Shout out to Steve. Thank you, Steve, man. Boss to Boss Productions, Intrinsic Marketing, Hodgepodge, Knucks 3-in-1 Refresher Spray. Welcome to the family, Knucks. Thank you guys so much. Peace.
Deuce.